Hello and happy Saturday. I am so excited to see each and every one of you. Suzette Speaks here live today on my sister partner platforms. Welcome first and foremost to all of you watching, whether you are watching on the Jamaicans.com Facebook page, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Or if you're watching on the Suzette Speaks Facebook page, welcome to each and every one of you. Happy Saturday. Suzette Speaks here, having a fun open forum today. I'm going to be talking about something called red pill awareness. I am not a red pill expert. I'm going to be inviting you guys up to help me with this topic today. But red pill is something that I have recently become familiar with. I would say in the last 6 months. Red pill for me has a certain meaning. Red pill for other people may have a different meaning. So I'm not going to think of myself as the end all be all for what red pill is, as I think I am an observer of the space and of the term. But I wanted to use this time since I was going to have a guest, Red Pill Awareness. He had another engagement today, but I wanted to still use the time to talk about some red pill experiences. So for me, how I define red pill might be, again, different from you, but I want to make sure, we stay kind of in this realm of introduction for some people, because some people are not going to know what the heck it is. And then also teaching, because I have also grown from what I think of as red pill awareness. So I want to welcome you. I want to also let y'all know next week we're going to have a couple very, very good shows. If you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. Let me fix this a little bit. Please go ahead and do that. On YouTube, we have DL Saint next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, talking about the truth about hypergamy. And I'm so excited to announce that JT, the Pocket Watching with JT, will be on my show, guys, next Thursday. Next Thursday, he's going to be talking about the 4 things Black people can do to get ready for the coming recession. We're definitely red pilling it all week. So we're going to kick it off today. And I'm going to open the panel, definitely give people a chance to speak about what they think of as red pill, how it has impacted their thinking. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. We're going to warm you up and get you familiar with this new term if it's new to you. So first and foremost, welcome to the Suzette Speaks Show. I'm Suzette Speaks. I am a TV host and attorney out of Miami, Florida. I proudly come from Jamaican roots. Shout out to mom and dad. And I also consider myself very American. I love calling myself the best of both worlds in a way. I have a wonderful African-American experience growing up here in South Florida, as well as the cultural experience that my parents brought with them as immigrants. And one of the ways in which I hope to impact this space on YouTube is to talk about things that hopefully can enlighten you, uplift you, give you more abilities to move forward in your thinking, help you to develop as a person, become more self-aware. And today's show is a self-awareness show when it comes to the differentiation between what we have been taught growing up and the realities of life is the best way I could put it. So sometimes the realities of life that we have to really come to terms with as people don't match the fairy tale, the beautiful life, the picturesque kind of way we were raised. And that bridging of what was, the fairy tale and story that we thought life would be, and the reality that smacks you in the face oftentimes of what life really is, whether it comes to business, relationships, dating, is what people, I suspect, have been calling red pill awareness. So if you don't know, I did a show with a gentleman named Red Pill Hustle. Shout out to him a few weeks back, like a month or so back now. And he gave me a good definition of red pill awareness. But it is the thinking that a person must or should put on so that they can actually deal with life in the reality of what it is, as opposed to how they wish it could be. That's my very rudimentary definition. Again, you guys can come on up in a moment and help me to explain it a little bit more. If you feel like you are a part of the red pill community and you practice red pill thinking, this is the show for you. I wanted to use this as a warm up to some more great content coming up. Like I said, next Tuesday, the truth about hypergamy with my special guest, DL Saint, next Tuesday at 7. And now confirm Pocket Watching with JT next Thursday. what our subject matter will be, what Black people can do to get ready for the coming recession. Yes, y'all, he believes that a recession is definitely on the horizon and wants us to be prepared. So as we talk about the realities of life, hit the like button. My first red pill experience, I'm going to share with you guys what I think my first red pill experience came from. And I think it came as a result of being on YouTube. I want to talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to open up the panel and see what you guys have to say about this type of thinking, whether you think it's helpful, how is it helpful. And again, for some of you, this might be an introduction because there are a lot of people that never heard of this before today. So shout out to you. If you're brand new, welcome. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Hit the like button, please, as you come in. I'm going to read the chat and say hello to everybody and see what you guys have to think or have to say. Are thinking and have to say about this particular topic. But yeah, it goes back to the Matrix. Everybody who I've spoken to anyway tells me that red pill, which I say the metaphor comes from the Matrix movie. Now, I didn't see the new one. Some people told me it wasn't that great, but the idea being, Neo, the main character in the Matrix, taking y'all back, was given the opportunity to either stay in, the La La Land, pretend universe of what he thought the world was, or by taking the blue pill. And then he was given the option to take the red pill, which would show him the Matrix and the craziness that was going on the inside of how the world really works. So I think that is where the origins come from. And I'm going to drop the link. I'm going to let you guys come on up and talk about your red pill awareness or red pill stories. Like I said, I'm going to share mine. I was having, so I'm going to drop the link right now. This is how you join the conversation. You click on this link that's in the chat right now that I'm sharing, and then you guys can come on up and you'll be on stage with me. If you want, just show your face in the back. At least let me know you're a human and not a bot. And then you can come on up and talk to me about your red pill experience. So the link has been dropped, but let me say good morning before we do some work here. All cap. Nice to meet you. SYSBM. And I do believe that stands for Save Yourself, Black Man. And again, I'm learning all these terms, y'all. I didn't know these terms maybe a couple months ago. So if you guys want to come up and explain and talk about how you think about life and how you approach life, marriage, dating, finances, whatever, based on this, I guess you could call it orthodoxy. I don't know if it's a methodology, but it is a way of definitely looking at life and trying to make the best of it based on what you now understand as the reality and not what you are given as how it ought to work. All right. So shout out to you all, Cap. Ernest Claiborne, nice to see you. Let's go. Ernest says, let me see. Synonymous says, I think most women are red pill aware. I wasn't. I was still in a somewhat of a blue, I think of what they call it, still in the Matrix. The remake wasn't that great. Cool. Nice to have you, though. I wish you would come up if you would like. Shout out to everyone watching. Again, the topic for today is my first red pill awareness experience. When did the blinders come off for you? When did you learn about the truth of how life works, how dating works, how just, reality of what it takes to survive in America works? And I would be interested in hearing, how that reality check came to you. And has it served you in terms of making yourself more successful in, career, dating, and life in general? So welcome, y'all. Hit the like button as you come in. We're talking a little red pill. I wore my red for my red pill awareness day. And I'm excited to have you guys participate in the conversation today about what it means to be red pill aware. If you guys are not big on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, this is something that is discussed pretty heavily. There are whole communities based around this thinking. And it is something, again, that I've just now in the last few months have become aware of. So I'm definitely going to need help. I see you in the back, Kanardak. Thank you for coming up. The link has been dropped. If you want to come and express what red pill thinking means to you, what it has done for you, or how most people should adopt it, or apply it in their life, in their thinking, in their dating. I think it's very critical to understand. And again, if you're not on YouTube, you may be like, what is she talking about? What is RP? What is red pill? We're going to have some of the gentlemen and ladies, all of you are welcome to come on up and express what this type of thinking means to you and how you've applied it. All right. Let me read a few more of the comments and we'll start. Red pill. Let me see. KL. Red pill is that one time you realize, dang, I've been played all this time. Or all the folks I looked up to were just faking it all this time. I think that's a great characterization of a lot of things. And I think I've definitely had that happen to me, whether it's been on this corporate climb, yikes, or in business, where you look around and you like, wait a minute, I'm trying to be the honorable person here. And all y'all been playing, I'm playing checkers. Y'all playing what is it called? Battleship over here. It's a very deep awareness that comes to people at different stages in different ways. Hi, Bernard. How are you? Nice to see you. Glad that you're here. DL say, I know you know about some red pills, so come on up when you're ready. Thank you, Sunbreeze, for being here. Good morning. My first red pill experience. So excited to have you. And thank you again to all my moderators. I find it very interesting, again, what I'm learning just by being on YouTube as a YouTuber. Shout out to all my new subscribers. We hit 4,000 and we've been running. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who are part of my community on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, consider going over to YouTube and looking up SuzetteSpeaks and becoming a part of my community, which I call the speakers. So today is definitely a show where you can speak up and speak out and be heard. But yeah, there are so many different parts of this red pill sphere. I'm going to talk about my own. How should I, Lord? It makes me nervous to even think about my own awareness around just things in life. I was having a conversation with a friend girl of mine, and just even her talking about, her difficulty in understanding guys, and she's a grown woman. This woman is in her 40s, happens to be. And we were talking, and she was asking me about, like, how do I for herself, how do I discern, when men are, I see you, Sergeant Claiborne, I see you, DL, in the back. Thank you. How do I discern when, people aren't being truthful with me? Or how do I discern when a man is not really, here for the right, quote unquote, reasons? Red pill, a lot of us are being lied to. That's the reality. I told her, I was like, girl, you got to start from a point of they lying and then see if they telling the truth. Red pill, is that red pill enough for you guys today? I was really dead serious. And she thought I was being super pessimistic, but I'm like, sis, especially different stages of maturity women go through, we're going to have a different mindset. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for that? Was I wrong for telling her that? Okay, I felt like I did her a service, but maybe I'm a pessimist, or some people would just say red pill. Anyway, come on through. The link has been dropped. My first red pill awareness experience. I got 3 gentlemen in the back ready to go. Let me bring them up. Shout out to Kenardak. Nice to see you. How you doing?
Hey, Suzette.
Happy Saturday. Nice to see you, sir. The guy with that mellifluous voice and fantastic actor has his own channel as well. Let me bring up DL. Say, what up, DL? How are you?
What's good, people? How y'all feeling out there?
DL, you look nicely
Oh,
shaved,
he cleaned up. Uh-oh.
Hey, DL said, this is my combo. Let's go.
I got this important interview coming up on Tuesday, so I wanted to make sure I look
right.
right.
Oh, so funny. He's going to be over here talking about the truth about hypergamy. And Sergeant Claiborne, are you ready? May I bring you up now, sir? Yes. How you doing?
Hey, Suzette. How's everything going today?
You're looking great. You look like you're chilling out in Jamaica somewhere. Where are you?
I'm in beautiful Montgomery, Alabama right now.
Okay, Montgomery, chilling outside in the shades, looking great, sir. Thank you for coming up. I want to talk red pill again. I need help because, again, I just became aware of this whole community and
I saw when you got red pills.
Pardon?
Oh, when you were on TLA's show, they were teaching you about
all right.
Sign language. You got a seminar, didn't you?
I got a whole seminar going up on the lead attorney's channel for the very first time, or it was like a one-on-one I really didn't want to have, the one I needed that I didn't really know I needed, but it was difficult. It was interesting, and I was going to bring that up. Thank you for reminding me. But I want you guys to first and foremost introduce yourself. Sergeant Claiborne, I haven't had you up here before, so I'm going to start an intro with you, sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Do you have a channel?
No, I don't have a channel, but I listen to TLA. I saw you, TLA, Kevin Samuels, and that was just a classic episode. And what I took from that was you kept on going on TLA's show. He went on your show, and so I subscribed. So I've been subscribing to you, paying attention to what you're doing, and you're doing some good stuff. That's pretty progressive.
It showed you my naivete, I guess, my blue pill. What should I say? Weak points, I guess. But
well,
I
since you've been exposed to it, you're open to the idea, because there's a mythology that women are always oppressed, women are always the victims. But to me, red pill awareness is just understanding that men and women are both human beings, and we're both capable of doing all of the same things. And like, if I can ask you a question really quick, would you say that my mother, who was growing up in the 60s, had more discrimination, my mother and aunt, than my uncle?
Had more as a woman?
Yes, because they were women.
There's an argument that says she has 2 strikes against her, but I just think the 60s was a terrible time.
It was,
for both
it
men
was
and
tough
women.
because my uncle was drafted. Yes, my uncle was drafted into Vietnam. My mother was able to go to Tuskegee and later go to UAB, become a physician. My aunt was able to go to the University of North Alabama and become really successful. And my uncle wound up in Vietnam. But see, if you take a red pill, you can kind of see through that the real discrimination was what happened to my uncle. Because my aunt and my mother, they didn't even have to fool with selective service. That wasn't even a possibility. They could go straight to college when he didn't have that avenue. So if you take a red pill, you kind of are able to look at things in a different manner that's more equitable.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm thankful for, again, the exposure to when I don't even understand. And I think hopefully people who are watching, the limitations of my own thinking or the presupposed parameters of my own thinking. I'm grateful that there are people that are open to having a discussion so that we all become more self-aware and can look at things from other people's perspectives. So thank you for that. WT Funk talking about she used to be scared to talk about this stuff a year ago. Y'all leave me alone. I'm getting there. Frank Gooden, Emmy winning filmmaker, says respectfully, yes, you were absolutely wrong for giving your friend that advice. I was trying to figure out how I was going to tell her life is not a bed of roses. And it's tough out here in the dating market even now. But Frank, I appreciate your feedback. You're like, no, don't be trying to give people I don't know. Is that too much reality? So, okay. So let's start. Kennard, I want you to introduce yourself as well and tell me how you became familiar with the red pill space and how you kind of like dance in it, if you will.
Well, thank you for having me up. It's nice to be joined with these lovely gentlemen here. You know, it's red pill is truth, isn't it? And at least that's what it is for me. I mean, I don't subscribe to either pill. I just understand truth is truth. And I guess you could say red pill awareness for me came early on before it became a big thing or the big talk here on YouTube. But it's one of the biggest blessings of the YouTube space because it gives men the opportunity to be heard. And you understand how to move, how to engage or interact with women, how to keep your game up. You know, that's essentially all the tentacles of it. But for me, it came early on, like you're talking early 2000s when I was working in radio. And there was a lot of...
And what was that awareness like at the early 2000s? What was that awareness like for you? Tell me what you used to think and how it changed your thinking.
Well, you know, there was a guy on named Tom Likas who used to talk about a lot of things that Kevin Samuels talked about. And it's funny because recently O'Shea came out and said that Tom Likas had some not so cool things to say about Kevin Samuels, but so that's kind of disappointing, but whatever, because Kevin Samuels used to shout him out a lot.
Oh, wow.
But Tom Likas, he was on radio out here in LA, and I was working for a different station listening to him. And so right about 2002, I decided to take one of the points that he would mention and put it to the test. You know, women having this gravitation towards men who are already in relationships. I'm engaging with a woman. I tell her that I have a I have a relationship, and I had been trying to, I guess you could say, have an entanglement of sorts. I'm trying to be careful here on YouTube, but it wasn't panning out. But as soon as I told her that I had a relationship, which was a lie, she became more interested.
Oh, Lord.
So I was putting this theory to the test. This is what, one of the things
So
Tom used to
when
talk
there's
about.
no good guys or good guys finish last like that, that's a red pill reality.
I
The
guess you
good
could
guys
say,
gonna always be at the bottom.
yeah, essentially I was putting that to the test, and I saw that and I was like, I see. Okay. Huh. So it kind of changed some things in my wiring.
Okay.
Okay. And then going out doing promotions with the radio station, being around cats that are high profile, and seeing how they would treat us just because we're affiliated with that. So it wasn't even
the
about being
advantageousness of popularity or fame, red
status.
pill. The I guess understanding that bad boy gets more honey than the good souled or a well-intentioned gentleman, red pill. So
And
real
just to,
reality
and
working
just
in
to
that
be
industry.
clear,
Yes. Mhm.
just to be clear, Suzette, it's not like I had bad interactions with women before.
Uh-huh.
You know, it was just one of those realities that came to fruition, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
you're like, wait a minute. They out here playing this game, and I wouldn't have never thought to play this game with them. I get it.
Yeah.
KL says, Sue, nah, sis, you were right. Ladies should be told this at age 14. Honestly, by the way, this brother is definitely red-pilled. We are fighting daily. No need to fight each other. Okay, I hear you. Red pill awareness. Thank you, Frank. Say he'll get into it. He'll explain the sentiment, but what I said is still damaging. Sorry if I did that. Yes, shocked and intrigued by the fake honesty. I hear you. Who wants to go next? DL, Black Man Unfiltered in the bag. I see you. I'll bring you up in just a second. DL, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope everybody is well. What is it? It's Saturday, right? So it's a cool Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Yeah. So red pill. Like it's funny when we had these conversations, and you know, when I'm out in the world and I'm talking to folks, I'm talking to whoever, ladies, you know what I mean, young women, young men, and I talk red pill, they have this reaction to it. If they know about it, they have this reaction. But I always challenge them. I say, listen, you already know some red pill truths. You know, you just don't, you haven't put it together yet. They're like, well, no, I've never heard red pill is bad. I'm like, all right, so, you know, like you said earlier, I always say, well, finish this statement. Good guys finish, and they're like, well, last. I'm like, that's a red pill truth, right? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, that's a red pill truth. There's another one out there. It's not what you know, it's
who you know.
Who you know. Red pill truth. So that all defies that blue pill, you know, the white guy, not the white guy, but the man in the white hat is the good guy, the one in the black hat is the bad guy. All that gets dispelled. It's, you know, when you look at the 1%, when you look at the difference between the 1% and the bottom 99, I mean, if you truly want to understand that, then that knowledge that's red pill knowledge. When you actually open up to say that things aren't equal, with you know, another big one. You know, when people talk about femininity, right, and they talk about feminism, and they get really upset. You know, it's like, well, you know, we have to fight for our rights as women, and we are oppressed as women. I'm like, women were oppressed. So were African Americans. So were the Irish. So were the Polish. So were the Italians. So were the Japanese.
Right.
But how were you oppressed today, right now? And then they start talking about the patriarchy and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, look, there are laws that exist that you benefit from as a female that I do not benefit from as a male. That's a red pill truth. And then people get so upset. I'm like, look, I think it's good. Good for you. You know what I'm saying? It works for you, but it doesn't work for me. So, and then when you look at the whole Roe v. Wade thing that's going on right now, people are going crazy. I'm like, you have to put on your red pill lens, look at what's going on. Why are we talking about that now? We're going into a midterm election. Why are we talking about, forgiving student loan debt? Like
Get ready
what
for some red pill. For DL, red pill is life. May I say red pill is
absolutely.
life. So I'm
Yes.
excited to have you on here to bring some real red pill truths. So Sergeant Claiborne, what about you? When did you become first red pill aware? And then I'm going to ask the panel. Welcome, Black Man Unfiltered Network. Good to see you, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, sis?
Fantastic. Thank you for coming through. I'm going to ask everyone after I ask you and then, Sergeant Claiborne first and then yourself, how did you become red pill aware? And I'm going to ask, what are some red pill truths that we all ought to know? And I think, DL, you have kind of kicked that off. But go ahead, Sergeant Claiborne. What does red pill mean for you? And how did you become introduced to it?
Well, when I was in graduate school, I actually listened to Tom Likas 101. And
Okay.
he had some of the philosophies. I hate he had this conflict with Kevin because Kevin did credit him for some of his philosophy, especially when he was on DJ Vlad's show. And also he gave him that awareness that Tom Likas 101. But Kevin took it to a different level because he attached a lot of other concepts to it. Tom's was more just comedy for the most part. There was truth to it, but it was a lot of comedy associated with it. But to me, as far as being aware of red pill, is when you look at the world, how are you looking at it? Like, I had a debate with a good friend of mine who was like, women don't have privileges that men have. And I was like, what are the privileges? And I was like, education system is primarily from junior high to high school. It's in elementary school is geared towards women. As far as Title IX in colleges, that's geared towards women. As far as being able to go to college, get a Pell Grant, get student loans, get a federal job and a state job, you can't do that if you're a man, unless you apply for selective service. So women don't even have that. And if you look at the family court system, if you look at the criminal justice system, women serve less time than men for doing the exact same crimes. So red pill awareness is just being aware of who you are in this world and how your gender plays a role in what you do. And we're not even going to get into the family court system because that disproportionately.
Now that's a whole nother can of worms, and we can touch on it. But let me get Black Man Unfiltered. I know you are probably traveling, sir. Thank you for getting on today and allowing for us to have an even broader scope by being a part of today's conversation. Again, welcome, Black Man Unfiltered. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I am traveling, but I got to step in for my sis and support. So you sent that email.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm here.
Thank you. What are your
absolutely.
thoughts? How do you define red pill awareness, and what was your first experience with it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on Sergeant Claiborne, what he just said. He said that when it comes to the justice system, when it comes to the children's court system, when it comes to everything is geared toward the woman. If the man can't survive, he just can't survive. If the woman can't survive, ma'am, let me help you. Let me get you this Section 8. Let me get you these food stamps. Let me get you housing. Let me help you. Here in Texas, they're helping women buy cars now. And so if you're a man, if you run into hard times, you just run into hard times. And I think that, we incentivize bad behavior. And so, and when women have bad behavior, they're able to get funded for it. When men have bad behavior, they have to suffer through it. And so, yes, that's the red pill moment when a man goes to court and says, "Hey, listen, I've sat in the courtroom before and heard a man say, I'm on the pipeline. I was making $3,000 a week. I'm no longer on the pipeline. I got injured. I'm on a land rig now. Can we please reduce it?" The lawyer said the judge told him, "That's not my problem. Get you a second job."
Wow.
And so I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen my own, I've seen it in my family. I've seen it with other people. So yeah, that red pill, it gets to a point where it's red pill rage for some men because they don't understand why everything is so geared toward the women. So yeah, that's what it would be for me.
I'm grateful that you also brought up that rage part because I know that that's a part of it, and I want to kind of dig into that in just a little bit. I want to understand more truths about what you guys see from your perspectives individually. I know you can't speak for every man, but I'm grateful that, again, I intend to get a lot of male panelists. Ross Pitia, I see you in the back. Can you show your face to make sure I can just see you, but you don't have to show your face on stage if you don't want to. But just flash your camera for me, Ross Pitia, to let me know that you're a human being, please.
So
DL, go
yeah,
ahead.
Suzette, you were talking about what was my awakening moment as a red pill. And I'll say this, like for most men out there, that awakening centers around some woman who did them wrong, and what that really is because they got their heart broken, or they tried to they did everything they thought they were supposed to do. They pedalized her. They worshiped the ground she walked on, and then she didn't want to be with him. He didn't see the messages and all that. And all it really is he did not understand the difference between female dating strategy and male dating strategy. And that normally, like for most guys, that's that red pill awakening. They got their heart broke, whatever. For me, I learned early on as a youngin in school, my RP awakening. I didn't know it was RP back then, but that's what we're talking about now. Was when I realized that the cool kids got more benefits and privileges, and they got away with more stuff than the nerds did. When I realized that knowledge, even in school, was frowned upon and looked down upon, but if you were an athlete, if you were a jock, if you were a cool kid, like you got away with murder. And I realized that young, and I began to use that. And I also, at the same time, is when I began to learn the power of networking. And to me, that was the biggest RP moment of my life. I'm like, oh, this is how it really works. I don't have to do my homework every assignment. I can have somebody else do it for me, or I could get down with the cool kids. And since I'm a cool kid, I can get away with, I get hall passes when I want. You know what I mean?
I really must have been red pill aware, because I didn't know I didn't know that's red pill awareness. Because I know that being in certain classes, if you had higher GPAs, etc., you got, more leeway to turn stuff in late, or you got more leeway. If you got in trouble, the principal would take care of it, etc., etc. So that's red pill. That's reality. Okay. Interesting. Kennard, what about you? I'll see you, Sergeant Claiborne. I see you. If you have to move, you just turn off your camera, and I'll drop you back. I know you gotta get Sergeant Claiborne out in Alabama. And I got more gentlemen, Savior Black and WT Funk. Come on up. How are you guys? Nice to see you. And then
where are the ladies at, Suzette? Where your sisters at?
Yeah, because I don't think they know what red pill means. They thought it was a cult. When I first said it, they were like, I don't like how that sounds. That sounds very weird. Go ahead, Sergeant Claiborne, and I'll get the gentleman involved.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Because when you first were on the lead attorney's show and Kevin Samuels came up, you seemed skeptical. But I think a lot of it is people really don't understand what it's about, because it's not specifically about dating. It's not about dating. It's about how you see the world. Of course, dating and relationships is a part of it. But I've noticed your evolution as you become more aware. Like I've seen what you did, and those shows that you did after Kevin Samuels' death, I will have to give you props for it. As a female content creator, I thought that was great that you talked about another side that could have possibly alienated you from some. But I appreciate that, because when you put yourself out there, you learn about something and you take risks. You put on possible criticism, but you overcame that. And in my opinion, you did the right thing by giving a fair and balanced account of the man's impact.
Thank you. Again, shout out to Courtney Michelle. I think having her help me understand provided balance. And so I don't want to take full credit. I just want to, I guess I always have to look at, this is definitely evolution in my mind, to be able to think about him from a broader sense than what media and mainstream thought is giving me. I think that was my goal. So thank you for saying that, Sergeant Claiborne. Savior Black in the building. Savior Black dressed down today. Okay.
did. I apologize. I just ran in. I realized I was like, ah.
No, you don't have to apologize for it. I think it's good. People can see you switch it up. Xavier Black was telling black women they need to take the wigs and the weave out last show. So I didn't know if you was gonna come back because I was a little bit annoyed at that proposition. But okay, we still friends though. So tell me where you are in terms of this red pill experience.
I guess for me, mine it was a little more gradual than everybody else's. Growing up, I always thought those teenage years growing up, I had family members who were pimps and hustlers and other things, and they always kept on spitting game to me. And I thought that a lot of times, because I grew up in LA, that was something that was limited to LA. And then I got down here to the Bible Belt, and it's kind of reinforced. And I guess the first thing that actually helped me out was this book here. When I first read it back in the '90s when it first came out.
What are we holding up again? Black Man's Guide to what?
Shahrazad Ali.
Yeah.
Understanding Black Woman Shah. Okay.
So this was a very controversial book. She was on Donahue and everything else back in the day and I guess I am telling on myself in that regard.
Okay, Donahue. Okay.
I'm giving my age away, but there's a lot. She got a lot of smoke, a lot of heat behind that at the time, and I was like, well, that's probably just I was like, okay, well, it is not just in my family, because initially I thought it was just my family that thought that way, and then it's like I got down here to the Bible Belt, and everything just kept on reinforcing itself as far as those truths, not just with women.
Give me specifics about what you're, I guess, growing up with a family with people who some would call exploiters of women.
Very much so.
Say that. Okay, you said we'll just say exploiters.
I would definitely do that.
What you saw through that book with Shahrazad Ali, give me some truths when you say you got exposed in the Bible Belt. I feel like I need to, hear more specifics about what are those truths that you're saying? Are there through lines you think from all those experiences of what you're saying?
Actually,
wow, go ahead.
So a lot of it. So initially, like I said, the family members, I'm not going to get too specific because a couple of them are still alive. I have a few of them.
Protect the innocent.
Yeah.
Rick Slinger, I see you in the back. I'll bring you up in a second, sir. Go ahead.
But some of the things I say, and Dia he alluded to a lot of them, or some of them as well, when he talked about some things that might be a hard truth that you might not think. You're thinking that you grew up in a meritorious, this is not dealing with women specifically, but you're thinking that you grew up in a meritorious society, and you keep getting told, we call it today, but your parents, your grandparents, and everybody else, at least mine did, I'm talking about what DL said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's foot in the door. What you know might keep you in the door or keep you going, but the who you know, that's going to get your foot in the door. And that's where one of those truths that I got early on and understanding it from that perspective.
So should we stop teaching kids that it's like good to do good for good's sake or things like this? Should we stop teaching
I think when you're talking about red pill, I always equate it to now. There's a two-part equation, and there's a book also by a guy by the name of Malcolm Gladwell that he talks about outliers.
I love that book. Absolutely.
So one of the things he talks about in that book is that in that two-part equation is one of them is the effort that you're going to put forth. So the amount of effort, the things that you do, that's the part of the equation that you control. You can't control the other part of the equation, which is the level of access that you get and the opportunities you get. So one of the people that he uses in that book, he talks about Bill Gates and the 10,000 hours rule on Bill Gates having a family that was able to give him the ability to get out there to go use the computers at a time when not everybody had access to computers. Right. And Bill Gates being able to be in Harvard and all these different things that line up as far as opportunities and access that he had. Right. But then also the aspect that he did put that 10,000 hours in. So it's not just the 10,000 hours. It's not just the effort. And I don't think that it helps our younger generation telling them that they should not put that effort in.
Okay. Thank you.
So you need to put the effort in because that's half of the equation. The other half, you don't control at all. You don't control how much access you get. You don't control the opportunities you get. All of that stuff that's out of your control. The only thing you can be is ready and prepared at the time if you get those opportunities and access. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get them. And I think that part of the red pill is helping people to appreciate, or the younger generation appreciate that you can put the work in, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to get the opportunity. And that's
not going to be your fair. You're next up in line. Nope. They're going to skip and get the guy who looks good, the guy who does this, the guy who whatever might skip you by light years. DL, I know you have a limited amount of time. I'm going to let DL go and then bring in Sergeant Claiborne and the Brick Slinger. Nice to see you again. Go ahead, DL.
So what what Brother Black was saying. You know, when you have this conversation and people like, so what do we do? Do we not teach this? Do we not teach that?
Hmm.
It seems to me that the big argument with the being unplugged thing, the critical race theory, that whole CRT thing kind of brings it home for me. When you look at critical race theory, people start going crazy about all these different things, what they think it means. Like Suzette's the only person that I know that understands that course, because that is a law course. That is at the highest level of academia. You know what I mean? So that's not for the average person, but
It would never be taught in elementary, middle, or high school.
exactly. Now,
Yeah.
now what happened was those people who want to stay plugged in, who want to keep that narrative alive as it is. Like when I grew up, I mean, it was really hard to learn about Dr. Charles Drew. It was really hard to learn about black men and black women who contribute to America. It was really hard to find out. Like I never was taught about Roswell. I was never taught about these massacres that occurred, you know,
Yeah.
perpetrated on Americans by Americans. I had to learn that on my
Greenwood,
own.
all of that,
So
yeah.
so the fight isn't necessarily like CRT is a good way to keep everybody plugged in, because we can fight teaching historical facts. And it's just people who don't. And to me, Red Pill is being unplugged. If we're gonna study how the Zulu really works, right? The Zulu were vicious. Shaka was a beast, right? But we can't tell a story that Shaka Zulu was this nice guy who was like going around and we're just spreading the Zulu culture with love and peace. Like, nah, man, we sticking people on pikes. You know what I mean? Like we are forcefully taking your land from you, and we're gonna make you a slave. That is the true fact, and people don't want that. And that's my thing about RP awareness. When I try to spread it, it's not just about those men who got their heart broke. I feel sorry for y'all, bros. I do. I'm sorry.
So it's not just focused on the I
Yes.
can't get a girl.
I can't get a girl. And then like
And-
with this
okay.
guy, this loser, right? This coward in Buffalo who went into the grocery store and did what he did to all those people. I said it on my platform. They're going to try to blame the manosphere.
health.
They're going to try to blame Black Pill on this guy. They're going to try to say he's that he's involuntarily celibate, which is
Incel.
what that word means. And people don't even know what that word means. They throw that word out there. You're an incel. Like, how can I be an incel when I bring women home every night? I'm not celibate, involuntary or otherwise. So people unplug, learn the terms, learn what it means, right? And understand there are crazy people out here. We don't want to change the narrative when you have some coward with a weapon go in and delete a whole bunch of people. We need to tell the story as it is. We're not trying to look for excuses. In Chicago, I think last night, there was a big shooting. A bunch of people got shot, right? And they want to sit there and they want to start blaming society and all this. And it was Mayor Lightfoot, not my favorite person in the world. I think her name was Lightfoot. But she
Yeah.
came out, she was like, some woman is complaining that her son was, caught up in this and he got hurt real bad. Why was he out there, Mom? Why was he there? Where were you?
So I misinterpreted where you were going to go. So you're saying even like this 18-year-old alleged deleter that took innocence. I can't even begin to discuss that story right in the middle of this because I'll get very emotional. You're saying that people were starting to blame society and his like individual, I guess, social abnormalities as opposed to his evil heart and being a white supremacist. Like
that narrative has begun. He
okay.
did it because he's Black Pill. Now we get into these different colors.
What is a Black Pill for those of us who don't know?
The Black Pill, when you look at people being unplugged and accepting things for the way they are, the Black Pill community are the people who get angry about that, and they want to strike out and lash out at those people who are
the presumed enemy, or the people
the people who are good at it. The Black Pill people tend to want to go get pretty women and pretty men, and they blame their lack of social skills on the fact that, well, the manosphere says that, I'm the bottom 80 and I don't have social skills and I live in my mom's basement and that's all wrong. I should be able to get a baddie too, and since I can't, I'm gonna hurt all you people. Or I hate half of the population. Like, they go out and they really don't like women, and they want to be mean and all that. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're aware. You've unplugged and you see how it works and you refuse to do the work. That's on you. But whenever something bad happens, if a man goes out and do something horrific, they look to find blame instead of just looking at what's going on and let's figure out how we failed this individual, or just use our legal system to deal with this individual.
Or
They
that
want
he
to
could just be an evil person with an evil heart.
exactly, but they don't want to look at the facts of people who do this tend to fit. They just say it this way: most people who do that sort of thing don't look like us. It's happened twice. We had the DC killers, shooters, or whatever, but everyone else looked like a certain thing.
Right.
And it's like, but
certain
if
age
we
demographic, certain national origin, et cetera, et cetera.
so black people are red pilled in a sense that we understand right away that the way we are policed in our community is different than the way our counterparts are policed in their community. Again, that's a red pill fact, and we have accepted that, and we teach our children accordingly. Everybody knows who's probably listening to my voice right now. When the police roll up, what do you do with your hands? Right? When the police roll up, do you make any sudden movements?
The talk. Exactly.
Right?
That's red pill for sure.
That's red pill. So, but if we fashion red pill as some what do they call it? A cult of dudes who don't know how to talk to women. We missed the point, and it throws all this out the window. They can just disregard DL Saint because he's red pill. He's just one of those guys who can't get women. But so now you don't have to listen to me about cheats and true historical fact. You don't have to listen to me about when the police disproportionately
what really happened in the United States.
Right. What really happened.
Thank you, God, for this Constitution, but let's be real.
And that's another thing.
Our fathers weren't perfect.
A red pill truth is this for all you people out there who's like, guns, we got to get rid of guns. No, guns didn't do it. And thank goodness for the Second Amendment. But if you let them tamper with the Second Amendment, they can start messing with all of your rights. Nothing's safe. And guess what? We could wind up back in the fields, right?
Listen,
if we start
they might
tampering.
send me back to Jamaica, y'all. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I just got naturalized by how much years ago?
So
I was thinking about that. I'm like, wait, where does the line start? Like,
and where does it end?
What's going on now?
So that's the red pill thing. Thanks for having me on, Suzette. I gotta run. I'm sorry.
I had to go for a little bit. Okay, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you. We're gonna go back to Sergeant Claiborne. Let me read Peace, brother. I'll see you Tuesday. DL, the truth about hypergamy with me on Tuesday. Duty, honor, caffeine. I love the name. How are you, brother? On the super chat says, it's crazy how ladies don't know, understand, and more importantly, don't even care even after knowing how bad it is for men. Victim mentality has ruined America, and the most privileged people even think it. Even the most privileged people will know that victim mentality has ruined America. I'll read it again. It's crazy how ladies don't understand, and more importantly, hit the like button, y'all. Don't even care, even after knowing how bad it is for men. Victim mentality has ruined America, and the most privileged people even think it. Oh, so even the most privileged people have victim mentality. Ja, got you. Thank you, Duty. I'm sorry, I'm slow. Y'all gonna let me read it again. For comprehension, understanding the first time and then comprehension the second time. Yes, go ahead, Kinarda.
No, I have a question because DL brought up some really good points. I was hoping he would stick around just a little bit, but question for you guys. So would you say that red pill is more of a combination of common sense and the undisneyfying of society, or Disneyfying of it all? Removing the common sense and the removing of the Disney ideology.
Okay. Huh. Who would agree? Who would disagree? Go ahead, Save Your Black Name, Sergeant Claiborne.
I'm going to say I firmly agree with what I say, that undisneyfying. Because one of the things with the red pill is going to be about, it does not care about your feelings. It's facts over feelings. It's essentially what you're looking at. So if you've been taught that women are a certain way and you're one of these people that talk about their incels, then that's going to be something once you realize that, like I said, I had people in my family that were able to see, okay, you can take advantage of people by their feelings, and that you can show that women don't always behave the way that they say that they behave. That's one thing. DL talked about CRT. CRT is another one that's based on feelings a lot of time, because we don't want to teach what the actual history is, and we want to come up with laws that are based on individuals' feelings on if these facts about history hurt your feelings, then we're not going to talk about it. It's kind of like your great grandfather robbed a bank and stole tens of thousands of dollars would be millions of dollars a day. I say, and then he might have gotten arrested. And they say, oh, well, you can't hold me accountable for what my great grandfather did. And I would say, okay, well, that's fine. But can we talk about the fact that your family still kept the $10,000? There was never any restitution.
You got all the land, you got all the business
that came along with that robbery. And now you're making a law that says we can't even talk about it.
Right.
That's one of those, your feelings over facts again. And it's one of the things where you get these people like what you say, the thing that we're talking about, where this guy went out and deleted a bunch of people that look like us. I say, and it was based off of he got some. I say he didn't like some of the facts that came out, and he's looking at it from a standpoint of you guys are going to take away from us what should not be taken away from us, and we're going to start this thing. And if you start read his manifesto on what it was that he talked about, and if you want to read it, I always find it interesting to go read what your enemies are writing. If they give you the playbook on what it is that they're planning,
better understand what the mentality is saying. TTOO Welcome says it's bad for Black men. Doesn't that mean it's just as bad for Black women? I don't think we're arguing victim Olympics at this moment.
Right.
Correct.
I understand what you're saying, but they're talking about, I believe, in their own lives, the reality and the awakening as far as what was taught to them versus how the world really operates. So I don't think it's the sentiment as in, that was the reality. I'm a Black man. I have to deal with certain things that other people don't have to deal with. Sergeant Claiborne, and then I got to get Rick Slinger involved. What are your thoughts about what the definition of say what you just said, Kanardak, again, the de-Disneyfying?
The undisneyfying. I mean, come up with whatever word you want.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we make up our own terms here. Go ahead.
Right.
Well, I think what we need to do.
Go ahead, Sergeant
I thought you said me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what we need to do is think about it simply like this. The gentleman was talking about what they're doing for mothers in Texas that are in poverty. But what Texas, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, New York, California all have in common, in every other state or territory in the United States, is a poor mother will get help. A poor father will get convicted. So we have to really look at how we're looking at this whole thing, because poor mothers get help, poor fathers get convicted, and we're looking at men as ATMs. But what we need to do is look at both people as parents. And when we start treating each other, when we get more true equality, and that's going to require us to take the red pill, to maybe look at things from a different perspective. Then we can get some movement. See, the thing about the red pill movement, manosphere, and all that, it's just a philosophy. It's just a way of looking at things. You're still going to have to do research. You're still going to have knowledge. You have to have facts if you want to argue anything. But also what you have to have perspective. And all the red pill is simply just giving you a different perspective than the traditional perspective that we've been given for so many years, is that women are not adults. Women are not treated the same way that you would treat an adult. Women are treated differently. All you have to do is look at the Johnny Depp trial. And if you've truly taken the red pill, you're not against women. All you're saying is that women just need to be accountable for their own action. If you change the gender and a man was abusing a woman and he threw a bottle at her and it was an accident, he didn't mean to cut her finger off, nobody would have a problem saying this is an awful person. He needs to be in jail. He needs to be responsible for this. But when we change the dynamics of the gender, we're like, well, I don't know, but they're both adults. And I think society, because of the patriarchy and because of other things, they almost want to treat a woman. Is this true, Suzette, that y'all have a lifetime alimony in Florida, or has that been appealed?
Listen. Okay, so there's a big truth in your opinion that you just brought out. Women are not treated as adults is a deep conversation starter that I'm like processing. I'm processing because I'm like, I don't necessarily, my gut is like, well, yeah, we are, but let me get
well, not in the criminal justice system. Not in the criminal justice system. If a woman or man commits the same crime, it's more likely that a woman is less likely to even get arrested. But even federal crimes that have mandatory minimums, men serve longer sentences, even with mandatory minimums for the same crime.
Mm-hmm. Point taken.
So I'm saying there's a degree of Yeah, so there's
Finish
a
your point.
degree of
Finish your point.
you
Yeah.
look at what I'm sorry.
No, we have a little bit of a delay. Finish up your point, and then I'm going to go to the brick slinger. Go ahead.
Okay, Suzette, all I'm saying is that in terms of criminal justice, in terms of other aspects, we don't really hold the women as responsible for doing the same thing as an adult. You know, they're given a little bit more leeway than men. Men, you throw the book at them. I'm Sergeant Claiborne. I used to work in the prison system. I worked in the women's prison. I worked in the men's prison. And let me tell you, it's totally different. The treatment they receive, the sentences they receive, people reaching out, trying to help, just the way the public looks at it. The public look at men, they don't really care what happens to them because a lot of horrible, heinous things happen to men in the penal system, but that's a man, so it doesn't really matter as much. Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand your point. I understand your point. Brick slinger, I'm going to let you. I'm sorry you've been so patient. Come on through, sir. What are your thoughts? How did you get introduced? And great points, Sergeant Claiborne. Processing your point of view is what I'm doing. Thank you. Brick slinger, where did you start your red pill journey? And welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity, first and foremost.
My pleasure.
My red pill experience started off with, well, I'll put it like this. My experience started before it even got to the point of finding out there is such thing as a red pill.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I got it from Chris Rock off of his one of his phenomenal special of Blacker is Bigger. When he separate in one segment of his in his show, he speaks about the major difference of so many things, whether it's how men cheat and how women cheat and how white folks think about racism as well as black folks think about racism, and then it grow into learning more. My cousin even taught me a thing or two about the difference between how the Democrats move and how the Republicans move, and then it goes into knowing the difference between a gangster rapper and a conscious rapper, and then it continues to grow into the point where it's like now, man, the world is not just one way; it's really another way. And the craziest thing is that way is not getting as much attention. Even before Kevin Samuels, I even got I want to make sure you got his name right, Tariq Nasheed, and even Tommy Sotomayor. I got so much red pill out of both of them, and it's ridiculous. Even the Hidden Color series is such a phenomenal documentary.
What is Hidden Colors?
Oh, Hidden Colors is she's a project. It's basically
sorry for my ignorance. I don't really know this stuff, guys. Sorry. Thank you.
Highly recommended. There's like 5 or 6 of them, I think.
Nasheed.
It's basically like Black history. It's like so many details within his stuff. It's like you wish you had got that in school, when especially in February, when they always bring up Dr. Martin Luther King and always bringing up Rosa Parks and always bringing up
Rosa, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Harriet Tubman. And
that's all they bring up. But this
stuff,
particular
it goes. That's probably about it.
It goes through all the stuff. It's like stuff that you didn't get from the European history, African history, the Caribbean history. It's like we get all of that stuff and still getting some more details about slavery.
This is a book or like a video series?
It's a video series. I think it's like 4 or 5 of them at this point.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like so much.
So that's big red pill. When you go to school and you're taught one thing about who you are, specifically in the United States as an African American, and then you're open up a whole. That happened to me actually through church. Like we had a speaker,
especially church.
Yeah,
especially church. Me as a man of faith, I get in the Bible and discover brand new stuff. It's like, sure, I can get some of this from the movies and this, that, and the third, but when you get in the scripture and find out more stuff, like more stuff about Moses, more stuff about David, more stuff about Adam and Abraham, Jesus, Paul, you name them. It's like the church gives you this much, but it's
Right.
beneficial to
If
get
you actually
more on
read it
your own.
yourself, exactly. I agree with that. Tired of y'all says, great points. Thank you, the Brick Slinger. Tired of y'all says, I would concede the point regarding sentencing / the prison system. But the Depp versus Heard case is a poor analogy. Privileges that white women receive are not readily transferable to Black women. Point well taken. Point well taken. Yeah, I think, but what Sergeant Claiborne was trying to point out just in general was one of the biggest red pill phenomenon that he can observe or has become aware of is how much it seems to hit, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, sir, but that the penal system is just not equal. We talk about it between races, but between genders, that is just not, laws are not applied the same for men as they are applied for women, in your opinion. So interesting. So if there is a way of thinking that is not red pill, and then there is red pill, do you guys think all men, all women should have to or should grow in, I guess what you could just say, what is the real world understanding of how life works? Or why don't we teach this from the very beginning? Why do you think people are kept in the dark?
One reason, because some wants to stay in the dark.
Okay.
Some
So
people
the deal would say the have yachts versus the have nots.
Right.
want us to be much more focused on silly things. But go ahead, Save Your Black. Anyone?
I was going to just chime in and piggyback on that. I'm going to agree with you. Like when you started off this conversation earlier, you talked about you with your friend and what you told your friend in regards to how they should approach things, right? And I think that at this point, that's how everybody should approach things: is that you assume it's not innocent until proven guilty. In a personal sense, is guilty until proven innocent in a personal sense.
And it's not like you don't have leeway, but in a sense, to protect yourself, you have to be like, oh, okay, all right, and then go backwards.
I'd say because we're taught, and I used to always tell my kids, I call them, instead of education center, I call them indoctrination centers. There's certain things that you're going to get in schools that you're going to get a certain narrative. You're going to go down a certain path, and everything as far as what I call the 10 points. There's a famous psychiatrist, Black psychiatrist. She's passed now. She's an ancestor now. Frances Cress Welsing. She talks about those 10 aspects of society, and every aspect is a point of indoctrination on keeping you, like how DL talks about that have nots with have yachts. They want you in it where you're going to try to get, you come out of school, you just need to get a job. You don't want to be self-employed. You don't want to create anything. You don't want to be a producer. You just want to consume. And we want to keep you in that mindset of just consuming whatever it is that's being produced by those have yachts. So you're a have not. You're going to continue consuming. You're being taught to consume. You're being taught that that's the way that you want to think. And if you steer outside of it, everybody else kind of pushes you back in line with that mindset. And everything becomes your feelings as opposed to what the facts are. And if something hurts your feelings, that takes more precedent than what the actual facts are that's in front of you. So whatever it is that you're looking at, whatever the dialogue is, the moment your feelings get hurt, everybody shuts down and they don't want to continue that dialogue. They don't want to work it through to see, okay, well, what is it that you actually are talking about? Wait, is there any truth or any validity to what it is that you're talking about? Okay, how is that actually impacting me? Okay, you're telling me that even when you start looking at policies and politics, you look at laws, you look at things like the 13th. Somebody tells you, well, technically slavery still exists, and most people go, no, slavery was eradicated with 13th Amendment. It's like, did you actually read it? No, I don't need to read it. I've always been taught that. And then like when you actually read it, you read that there's an exception there. On the time when you can get treated as a slave is if you've been duly convicted of a crime. So exception made for slavery within the 13th Amendment. So as a general rule. As a general rule, say that slavery has been eradicated within the United States. That's the general rule, but there's an exception, and that exception, especially when you look at even the BOP's own statistics on what they incarcerate you for, we start creating laws that are vagrancy. That was the peonage thing that happened way back in the day, where all of a sudden it's like it didn't, because people go like, oh, it's a misdemeanor. It doesn't say misdemeanor. It says of a crime. I mean, it doesn't say felony. It says of a crime. So when you start getting into the nuances of it, and you can have that discussion, but most people, they'll shut down because the emotions come in and they don't like the thought of it. Like I said, that's when you start getting into that red pill part. And then you start getting the black pill that DL talked about, because now once you realize you've been lied to, you get the anger. Like we talk about the red pill rage, and everybody now, and again, it's the opposite reaction on the emotion. So now before you were emotional, you shut it down. Now you're emotional and everything gets tossed out. And so I think it's important for young people, and the reason why I say it's young people, because that's what's getting targeted. They recognize the game. So if you're playing that game of chess, they recognize that you catch the next generation before they actually get, as you indoctrinate them, so that as they're growing up, they grow up with that indoctrination. Hopefully they give that indoctrination, trust the school system, trust this system, trust that system, trust this system. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, wait, I've been lied to. But now your kids, you've already passed on that same level of indoctrination. You put them in the same systems, and now they come along with it. And then they're going to be pissed at you because you have indoctrinated them the same way that you were indoctrinated. And by the time you're trying to tell them now, initially,
they already got the mortgage, this and that, and they're in college debt, and they got to keep going.
They're in college debt. They're a slave to the system. They're in a bad relationship. They believe the truth, like you're talking about. This is how women react. This is how men are, and they got the Disneyfication of it, and they're going through this whole process. I think it's extremely important, like how you started this whole thing off with, on when someone does ask you, even with my kids, a lot of times when they ask me a question, I go, "Do you really want the answer?" Right? And I'll ask them that twice. How
old are your kids?
Well, they're adults now. All my kids are 21.
Because I was like, I've heard that you protect children all the way till they have to learn the realities.
Is that protecting them?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like they have the whole life to realize the world is crap.
Well,
I'm supposed to give them the childhood that allows them to believe like in the best possibilities and the best of all people and the best of whatever. Or is that now like
I don't know. Because even though like the subject of sex, so a lot of people, and I get mad with Christians when they talk about this, because if you look at like Deuteronomy, it says, and these things talks about a parent must inculcate in their kids. And one of the things in the law covenant that they're talking about that must, they were talking about sexual discharges. They were talking about nocturnal emissions. They're talking about all these things. And we as parents, a lot of times we talk, well, you want to protect them. You don't talk to them about that. If they're asking the question of you, or if your kid's bringing that to you, that means they're already hearing about it. They're already getting it. Do you want them to get the right information, or do you want them to get the wrong information and say that you're protecting them by giving them the lie? So we talk about the truth will set you free. What's the lie doing, right? If you're continuing and you're going, what's a white lie? What are you doing when you're giving them that lie? And that's no
Santa Claus, no Easter Bunny. Yeah, wait, hold on now. All right, red pill awareness is the topic today. Go ahead. Talking about everybody. Let me let someone else. I love what you're saying, and it's very deep because again, how is the fantasy serving people? Is it doing them a disservice because they have to unlearn it and then they get hurt all the way through unlearning it? Been there. Yep. My first red pill awareness experience is the topic today, y'all. Welcome, SuzetteSpeaks here, doing a wonderful panel with these gentlemen here, learning from their experiences with what they have deemed to be red pill awareness, and I'm learning as I'm kind of talking about it here. Welcome, if you're a member of my Patreon, shout out to you. I think I'll be live with y'all Monday. I will talk about that at the end of the show, but I'm here wondering, what kind of parenting strategies
Savior Black is
thinking about. Go ahead, Kennard.
Savior Black is on it because it does start in the home. I don't know which one said that, but starting in the home, because I remember getting, I guess you call red pill truths when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Like what?
Just those adult conversations, with my mom. She wasn't afraid to talk about sex, for example, or how to carry yourself a certain way as an adult. These conversations were happening early, and you can sort of guide through. Like I saw my first rated R film at age 8. You know what I mean? 8. It was Purple Rain with Prince. Okay. And so because of my maturity level, she noticed that, okay, I see the direction he's going. I need to start having these conversations, and there we go, following suit. But the guidance in the home can sort of prevent the red pill rage.
Okay, this is how life really is. Don't be afraid to understand that. Shout out to Maggie, the substitute teacher. Shout out to Learn Biz, the podcast. Thank you. Learn Biz says one of the things that would help Black men and Black women change the narrative, be focusing on ways to bring us together. SuzetteSpeaks, definitely part of the solution. I appreciate that, sis. Thank you for being here. TTOO got a lot of flags. Miss Globe Girl, welcome, says, who makes the decision on what the truth or fact really is? Who is the oracle when it comes to this red pill in real life? Interesting question. Who would like to speak to that?
You got
go
one.
ahead, Savior Black. Go ahead.
So I always like to differentiate truth from facts, right? A fact is something that's definable that you can sit there, you can measure that, you can say this is a fact, this is what this is. The truth deals a little more with the narrative on how you're gonna frame that fact. And so something that you can sit there, you can look at. Let's say somebody gets before I actually cover the rest of her statement, but just defining what those two terms are.
Yeah.
So determines what the truth or the fact is. If it's a fact, like let's say someone gets brought in for a crime that they've committed. Let's say I'm out on the street and the police report will if you, like when you read a brief or an opinion from the court in the appeals court, a lot of times they'll give you just a statement, the objective statement of facts, like Mr. Taylor was out on the street. Right. Mr. Taylor has seen another
something that like has occurred that everyone can look at, and that has occurred.
This individual got shot. Mr. Taylor had the gun. The police report, if somebody's speaking on it the other way, they're going to be like, Mr. Taylor aggressively looked at the other person when they came down the street, and he menacingly brandished a gun. That would be the other person's truth, and then the other person, Mr. Taylor, in fear of his life, seeing and they would go through that same narrative. So that truth becomes how you're gonna frame the facts. And when it comes to that, a lot of times, going back to what my brother was down here, and I just got you.
That's okay, Sergeant Claiborne or Kennard. Go ahead.
I keep on because it's Dak at the end, but when you say
Dak, yes, that's fine.
Okay, so as a brother down there with Kennard Dak, as a parent, it becomes it's your responsibility to make sure that you're inculcating those things into your children, helping them to appreciate exactly what's going on. You don't have to sit there. I'm not gonna say you don't have to. You should not sit there and just lay all that stuff down. Here's what sex is right now. But if your kids are asking you about sex, they 9 times out of 10 they got it at school. Someone there, and they should feel comfortable coming to you for what those facts are. So their friends are probably telling them, "Oh, you need to sit there and you can go blah 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 blah." And they should feel comfortable coming to you like, "Hey, I was told this, that, and the other." Because I had there was a young lady, and I've heard 4 other people tell me this, and my mom being another one who told me that she had a young lady who this same thing happened to her, which is she couldn't figure out how it is that she got pregnant.
Oh, no, there are a lot of little girls that are never told how they got pregnant.
Well, no, she was
crazy.
She asked her mother, where do babies come from? And her mother told her, you don't kiss little boys. You kiss little boys, that get you pregnant. So she says, I did everything else with him but kissed him. And she couldn't understand how she got pregnant because she let him do everything else but kiss her because she was afraid that was and that's the mother giving her that truth, so to speak, because that's part of it. But you left out the most important fact in that narrative, in that truth that you gave your daughter, right? So as a parent, that comes from the parent, that truth is going to come from the parent, and you need to make sure that you give them the right facts and understand where your child is at. That's part of parenting. Understand where your child is at, that as they're asking you, it might be like if they're 4 or 5 and they come to you like, where do babies come from? They come from a mother and a father. Oh, okay. And they run on off. Then the next time they come to you, it's like they might have heard a little more. It's like, well, where do babies come from? I heard that,
mommy's belly. That's it.
It comes from mommies and daddies doing things. Now you know.
Well, I'm not saying like okay, age appropriate, of course.
Right. So
what you're saying is it obviously.
And you might be like, hey, so what did you hear? Right, because that tells you that they probably heard something. Yeah. And if they're comfortable talking to you, they'll tell you what they heard. Yeah. And now you got to sit there, depending on it might be something that's way before you feel it was time for them to hear about it. Yeah. But now that they heard about it, you need to go in there and go correct that narrative that they're getting, right? Because they feel comfortable coming to you to get the actual truth. Don't sit there and start lying to them
and trying to sugarcoat and have people in problems later, and they think they really didn't know how they got pregnant. I've heard that. Actually, I've heard that. So Linda, thank you, Savior Black, for illuminating us on truth versus fact.
Yeah. I hope I answered.
The Donald has a media empire that he's building called Truth. That's what I would ask. Who's Truth? Because he's gonna need some facts, but it's interesting that that's what he's called it. But anyway, Linda, thank you for this comment. I don't know how to say this word. I know Anosognosia. Anosognosia.
Anosognosia.
Agnosis, thank you. The virtual inability to reflect. Now I gotta Google on the nature. Inability to reflect on the nature and seriousness of one's problems, which prevents them from recognizing differences between themselves and their peers. Interesting. I got the virtual inability. So in it being able to reflect on the nature and seriousness of one's problems, which prevents them from recognizing the difference between themselves and their peers. Anybody want to comment on this?
I like that
I think
word.
Claiborne had his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Sergeant Claiborne.
Yeah, Suzette, I just want to get back to red pill is not about men against women. That's not what it's about at all. It's just about a philosophy of realizing what's truly going on in society. And I like to say that you become red pill and you're red pilling other people. A lot of people don't realize that Kevin Samuels,
tell me how I'm
a
red
lot of
pill
his
now.
audience is you gotta be. You more red pilled than
what does that mean?
In the
this is what I want to know.
Because that
TTO, good question.
All that
Don't mean to interrupt. Says who and where is this declaration of red pill to stop any confusion? So what does that mean? I become more.
It's a philosophy.
What that means.
It's a philosophy. That's all it is. You were exposed to a philosophy. That's all it means. And because you were exposed to that philosophy, you look at things in a different manner. I know you're extremely educated, you know, been to law school, passed the bar, all that great stuff, out saving the world, all that good stuff, like right? Okay. And look at how many people you can help just because you've been exposed to the philosophy. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm not even gonna lie. I hear you. Because even in my own experiences now, when I go out and date or when I go out, and I'm using it in that context, because I think especially here on YouTube, that's kind of where I got introduced to a lot more of a red pill way of thinking, which is how I saw what men are, what men would want, how men think, with my own desire of what I think I wanted or what would fit me or who I wanted and how they may look at me. That definitely for me was a whole red pill experience. What I had been brought up thinking, what my friends constantly tell me versus when I'm in spaces that are predominantly men and I'm hearing what men are saying, incongruence, call that truth versus fact. And I agree with that point because in my mind, how relationships are created, how marriages are created had a far more different, I guess, origin. And I think I did get and have still been enjoying a healthy dose of red pill when it comes to the mindset of both men and women. Why do we as women think? Hello, I thought, you know, I don't know if the theory was supposed to be a magical love story. I don't know if that's what I thought, but I definitely thought it would just happen. I thought it would just happen. I think my parents thought it would just happen. And I think that has become one of my biggest reality checks of, well, I think it was a Mr. Samuels or whoever. I've heard it repeated many times. I don't know who to attribute it to. You know, you work for your degree, you work for your home, you work for all these other things. Why is this any less something that you put a lot of time and effort and work towards? I mean, even TLA has said that when I was on the show. And it was the first time anyone had ever put it like that. And I thought, but I am working from it. I exist, right? No, that's just it. But
yes, growth is incredible and it's profound.
Pardon?
Your growth is profound. It's incredible. You're introducing things. And it's important because just think of this. We wouldn't be here. None of us would be here if you hadn't have taken a chance. You know, you took a chance. You didn't just go by what everybody else was saying. You took a chance and you're like, well, this guy's on the screen. I'm not just going to get scared and go away. You're like, hey, I can battle with the best of them. And look at where you are.
It was a moment of pause before I got to that. But sure enough, I do think, I don't know. It still baffles me to this day as to why people don't have more of these type of conversations, especially among women. I have a brother, I have cousins, I have people like, I'm like, why didn't anybody ever tell me some of these things? And I need to go back and read that Savior Black. I just feel like, why? I can't be in the minority, though. I don't think I'm in the minority.
You're definitely not in the minority.
So
and
why?
And this book came out back in, was it 89, 90, somewhere around there is when this came out.
Black man's guide to understanding the
And everything, everybody focused on, there's one sentence in here that when this book first came out, and and I'll tell you what the sentence is.
Mm-hmm.
She made a statement. The one sentence is, sometimes a black woman deserves an open-handed slap in the mouth. And all of the context around what that statement was, and everything before, everything afterwards, was overshadowed. So if you have everything else in the book and all the rest of all the statements are great, and you take just that one, this book is what, almost 200 pages, or it's 100, almost 200 pages, and you take one sentence out of there and you say everything else, all the other line items that she listed as far as what young women and young men are taught in the house, specifically because a lot of us that came up, and I'm not gonna say us because I came up in a two-parent household, but a lot of my friends came up in single-parent households with those predominantly by their mother. And the narratives that was pushed there whenever I was in their house was a lot of the stuff that was being said was literally verbatim things that you saying here. And as young men, you're picking it up. The daughters in the house, they're picking it up, and that understanding of what it was that a man was supposed to do in a relationship was there, and the understanding of what a woman was supposed to do, just like I said, just by being, was your value. And that was something that's being taught or indoctrinated to us from an early age all the way through. And then all of a sudden you realize that's not the case. Oh my goodness. And it's like I said, and it's a hard pill to swallow. It's one of those things that when you see it, at least for me, it wasn't as hard, because like I said, I had from a young age, and I'll be honest with you, I constantly was pushing at that barrier. I was like, that boundary, I didn't like it. I thought, well, maybe it's California, maybe it's just my family, maybe it's just California. Then it's all over.
I had a wonderful conversation, Savior Black, great points, with a gentleman offline. Go ahead, Sergeant Claiborne, I'll bring it up after your point. Go ahead.
I would just like to, it's been an honor to watch your growth, man. I'm going to keep on watching your channel, keep on doing great things.
Appreciate you coming up. You're always welcome. Thank you for your insights, and I thank you for allowing me to grow. Appreciate you. Thanks for being along on my journey. I hope to see you back. Thanks, Sergeant Claiborne. Appreciate you being here. I'm going to drop the link one more time, y'all, and I thank you. I've enjoyed having you on. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, not going to put his name out there or whatever, but he said something to me that, one thing he said about Kevin Samuels, and I was just like, this is so deep. He said that one thing that people are not giving him credit for is that what Kevin Samuels was really trying to bring to an awakening is that many, his paraphrase, Black women are going to be left out in the cold as we get older. And he brought up not just the physical, but he meant in terms of like retirement and having enough money saved up, because people live long now, and that marriage has always been one of the ways, and again, not that men are only down to the financial provision, but one of the ways to secure one's just own longevity and security in terms of your, financial outcomes. And that he was saying, the gentleman I was speaking to was giving me some insight about, like, most people in general are not going to have enough saved up for retirement. Most people do not talk about, that 2.1 million or whatever the nest egg number you're supposed to have. And I was telling him I'm working towards mine. I've been like, I'm not going to say I'm anywhere close, but there's an awareness of it. And he was just saying, but what Mr. Samuels could see was there was going to be a lot of people past the age of 65 looking real crazy in terms of their standard of living, their ability to feed themselves, all the things that go with, getting more ill, fixed income, the government not going to give you a lot for your Social Security. I know y'all think we're going to be able to live off it, but Social Security is not a lot of money. And all the ways in which, in his words, Black women would be, and women in general, but specifically Black women, are going to be left exposed because of our income levels, not necessarily everybody being in the top, C-suite corporate jobs. Average Black woman makes what? How many $1,000, 35, 50, I can't remember the exact number. But I thought that, I was like, I never really thought about that as part of his possible vision for that red pill reality check. However, he gave the proverbial open-handed slap. I don't know if I agree with that part.
Oh no,
I believe it with maybe that in mind, to think ahead and to say, y'all don't even realize what's coming. You grew up in homes with two parents, very comfortable, grandma them two parents comfortable, and you are what you are because you had that. But now we have built that less. And again, I know not everyone's going to be married. Not everyone desires to be. I'm not saying that that is, the end all be all, or should be, because not everyone is going to live that reality. That's again another red pill. But the idea that he could see that, and that there were people that were going to get lost in the fact that this is not going to be pretty.
Right.
When look at inflation, look at housing costs, look at the things that we are not preparing for. And that, when you're older, I know we all think we're going to be strong and healthy. That's not necessarily the case. And how much of a disadvantage we are creating if we don't wisen up to what our brothers are saying they want. I'm just saying that. Shout out to, who you are. We had a great conversation about that yesterday. I was like, ooh, that's red pill. Thoughts?
We may be the first generation to easily make it to 120.
I believe our bodies are made for that. I believe our bodies were made for that. Yes.
But what's more amazing is that this whole red pill idea is truth. And let me ask you a question. How often do you pay attention to your gut? Your first gut instinct, you have a gift that you were born with. And it's called the gift of intuition, where something should go left instead of right, or vice versa. And we're conditioned not to use that. We're programmed to go against that or second guess it. Ego gets in the way. And I think with this whole red pill idea, it's opening yourself up to that gut thing that tells you, no, this is the way to go. This gets better outcomes. If you want to change your life, you change your perception. To me, that's what red pill is.
I hear you. I'm getting some pushback, and thank you guys for leaving your comments. Tired of y'all says Black women will be left out in the cold in comparison to who and what group. This needs to be fact checked. Married or single women tend to have more family around them in their older years. Financial resources being what they are. I'm not saying that family network and friendship networks exist. Absolutely. And that men may have challenges as well. I'm not saying they won't. But I understand your point. Anyone wanted to add anything more?
Sure. I was going to say.
Go ahead, the Brick Singer, then Xavier Black.
Yeah. If anything, with this first statement that says about Black women being the code compared to what group, let's put it like this: as far as relationship goes, that's where we need to go back into the whole, women would be leftovers. Then we need to go back to that clip, not only that clip, but that whole video that Kevin Samuel explained what it means to be a quote unquote leftover according to the Japanese standard, or Chinese, whatever the Asian country he mentioned. That we probably need to compare. And at the same time, it's like, if they're going to be in the code, will it be a majority of choice or majority of consequences? Because if it's going to be majority of choice, then they're going to be in the code because they chose to not mess with certain folks because of this, that, and the third, or they chose not to go. But if it's because of consequences, it's because of who made the choice and who did not acknowledge the consequences that goes along with that choice. And I think that's where the in the code may come to play.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about what you're saying. Thank you. Let me process what you're saying.
Okay.
Xavier Black, what do you want to add? KL says about 25% of Americans are waiting for their parents to die to secure their retirement. That's an red pill fact. That's a red pill fact. Interesting. Let me just read a couple more. Excuse me, Xavier Black. Hey, Madam Prestige says, salute, Suzette. I'm not sure what you talk about your first red pill awareness without referring to me. Hola. Congrats on your growth. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Hola. TTO said, I noticed most red pill men don't have. Jesus. Come on now.
Wow.
My Peter Jack.
Oh man,
I should have read that before. What we gotta
I love the smoke. I love that. That's funny.
Okay, moving on. Yes, let's keep this a safe space for people to be able to say what they have to do. Wow. Read first too. A lot of statistics mentioned here on YouTube. Always curious about the sources and the information. I agree. Again, I'm throwing out what I had in a conversation.
Yeah.
Not something that I factually looked up myself. Whew, but it was interesting to just think about, and men too. Men die alone too. This is not to say only women, because there are 53% of Black men. Where we got that from, I don't know. Learn Business Podcast. I've heard it on YouTube, that don't have kids yet, right? That have no children, no heir, no wives, nobody looking out, right? So I think it can be, I'm not just saying just for women, but that is how the conversation I had, was being framed. So good question, Learn Biz. Let me see. I hear you, TTO. Why is Kevin referred to as a standard for Black people relationships? He is not. Understood. Yes, Miss Globe Girl, I put up the wrong facts. Okay. Savior Black.
I was going to come back to my brother Kennard here, and one of the things that when you mentioned that gut feeling and following that gut feeling, there's another book, and you can tell I read a lot of Malcolm Gladwell. He has a book called Blink, and it talks specifically about what you're talking about with the following your gut and why that is a benefit, especially if you trained it, and how that with that. He gives a whole lot of scientific information about it from a psychological. I encourage you to read.
Yeah, he brought it up.
It's on point with exactly what you're talking about. And then going back to the Black women being left out in the cold, I guess my pushback on that, and I guess it's going to be a red pill statement, is Black men and Black women are not equal, not in what it is that we're looking for, not in our values, not in our goals, right? So what it is that a woman's looking for, specifically a Black woman, and what the family provides to a Black woman is going to be different as far as what she's looking for than what a Black man is looking for from a family normally. And this, I'm speaking in generalities here. So when talking about and I touched on this previously in the family, and I wholeheartedly agree that family will stick with a woman more so than what they'll stick with a man, or the mother more so than the father. And that's a generality. Fathers, you understand that's the nature of the beast. You do it. I used to tell my kids this all the time. Being a parent, specifically a father, but being a parent is a thankless job. You're not doing it because you're going to get adulation at the end, or you're going to get this, that at the end. Bill Cosby has a great joke about that on the high thanks mom deal. You're doing it because you love your kids and you love your family. And there's a level of obligation to it, but there's also a level of love to that on why it is that you carry through with that obligation.
Yeah, duty.
And I say that duty that you're carrying out, you're doing that duty. You understand what that duty is. And this is, I guess, a disconnect between men and women, Black men and Black women, as far as the perception there is that Black women don't understand the level of duty and obligation normally. Again, this is generality because of how we've been indoctrinated going forward. And again, reading the book from Shahrazad Ali, how that indoctrination has been going forward. Black men traditionally have still known what that role is and what it is that they're looking for, and are more in tune with it because no one's going to sugarcoat it for them, and nobody's going to rah shish boo them on the way going to it. Whereas with Black women, we do that a lot of times, and a lot of times it's young men. And like I said, having pimps and everything, you're saying it because of the goal that you're trying to get to, as far as trying to get in their pants or whatever else you're trying to get out of them. A lot of times for the younger men, so you're looking at it, and what the goal and values are, they're going to be different. So are Black women less likely than Black men to be left out in the cold? Absolutely. Is that the goal and values for Black men? As if you're looking at it like it's a tit for tat thing, what you can do, I can do, and what you want, I want. I'm going to tell you that explicitly.
I understand. It's a good awareness to have as well.
Yeah.
Learn Biz, thank you. Great point. Savior Black. Learn Biz says we need a women's panel on the Red Pill.
Yes.
Women's panel. When you put it out there for brothers and sisters, I was like, where they at? Where they at?
For real. I'm like, I just have to make individual asks for the ladies to come up. Freelance HD Wagwan says, I have fact checked the stats, and it's actually worse than we think. You have to analyze the numbers with rational logic. I think referencing what retirement may look like for folks with one income as we age. It's very interesting. Let me see. TT, red pill is just a modern term for street smarts. Street smarts has nothing to do with tea. Y'all are so wow. The chat undefeated. By the way, I had braces and just got a cut. FYI, red pill dances in all types of costumes. This is just our external, y'all. You're so funny. Y'all so funny.
I got a cut on my lip from getting it busted to my teeth and when I was younger, and I got a chip behind it. So yeah, I say here's that grill.
Need to be standing up in their role. Single mothers are because of black men. This is another red pill that I think is very. I don't know where the argument.
I'm sorry. Can I speak on this one too?
Of course.
That statement of black men have not been standing up in their role. Well, it could be true, but it's not all the way true. Because that kind of takes away all the other black men who've been standing up. Even those have been standing up for other black men who wasn't able to stand up on their role. So in some case, some shape or form, to say single mothers are because of black men is kind of an insult to every black man. That's why the red pill exists, so there is a distinguish between the black men that women say that they don't like versus the black men that they do like, but for some reason they never make themselves available for those black men that they like, because they always running towards the black men that they don't like. So to say
red pill reality. So you're saying don't paint all of us with the same brush. Yes. Don't put everybody in the same basket. Okay, go ahead and save it black.
I'm gonna pull up the stats, and it's gonna, I guess, piss people off.
No, pull up the receipts. Let's go.
So if you go to the CDC and
if you want to share a screen, you can share a screen too.
I don't have it up on my screen right now, but I can pull them up but you can pull it up from the CDC specifically has it, and the census has these stats that I'm getting ready to give you. And normally I bring receipts, and I've had shows before where I put the receipts up on screen.
Okay.
But one of the things that happens is, and this is coming from somebody who mediates, we talk about men and women, and I'm not going to talk about just black men and black women, because these numbers are going to be as a overarching numbers that I'm going to give you here. 66% of all marriages that are filed for divorce are going to be by women. Right. Which means that if you're dealing with 52% of marriages ending in divorce, approximately 52% of them ending in divorce.
Slow down, Savior Black. That's the only thing they keep saying. Anytime you start talking, slow down a little bit.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So if 52% of marriages end in divorce, or approximately 52% of marriages, that fluctuates.
In the United States end in divorce. United States. Got you. Okay.
So 52% of those end in divorce. And then you look at it and you go 66% of those are filed by women, which means approximately 5 out of 10 marriages are in a divorce, and 4 out of those 5 are going to be filed by women. It's not that black men are leaving black women. And I'm not talking about whether or not there's justification. It could be a justification on why. So let's say half of those from a woman's standpoint are justified in leaving that marriage or leaving that relationship. Okay. I say, so if I give it the benefit of the doubt, and I say out of that 4 out of 5, let's say 2 out of 4, 2 out of them is going to be are justified. You still have the majority of those, which will still be only 1 out of those. I said the majority is going to be women leaving that relationship, thinking the grass is greener on the other side. And when I mediate, so a lot of times you'll get a situation where she might feel that the grass is greener on the other side, and why it is that I don't have to put up with this. I don't have to deal with this. And then when you realize what the this is, that's always a kicker for me. I always want to know, what is the this that you're talking about?
And what is it?
So a lot of times it's not even something that's significant, where it's like cheating or because I'm always anticipating. I always look at marriage like a contract, because it's a civil union contract, and I think about you should have a breach. I don't agree with just getting out of a contract unilaterally.
There should be an actual some kind of damage. Something happened.
Correct. So
what is it in your experience as a mediator?
So a lot of times this is, you'll hear I wasn't happy, and it's something that's normally really trivial and not something that's substantive, like he's not providing, or because if I hear he's not providing or he's beating her, which you will hear that. I've heard, like I said, I can tell you definitively, you'll get that. He's not providing, he's beating her, or he's cheated on her. Those are the 3 when I think of that's a reason.
Cause, as we were saying, reasons to get the heck out of there. Right.
I say, so those are reasons. And many times what I'm hearing is not that as a point of cause. And sometimes what'll happen is, I'm not gonna bring that. Tell me,
why you gonna leave it like that?
well, because sometimes it might be something that's sexual in nature, where they might say that, well, there's this sexual thing and I wasn't being satisfied sexually, or it might even be sometimes if you're there seeking to have a disproportionate share of the marital estate, something that they probably mutually agreed to and did mutually sexually, that all of a sudden now, because they know that if it comes, they use it as a bargaining chip a lot of times when they'll talk about something that they did mutually sexually, that they know that they, in mediation, is confidential.
What do I mean? You can't, I know you can't go
I'll
in.
tell you offline. I promise I'll tell you offline.
I don't
I'll tell
understand
you
what you
offline.
do.
I'll tell you offline. I'll tell you offline. I promise. I'll tell you offline.
I'm trying to figure out how to prevent marriages from ending here on the Suzette Speaks show with a mediator who has to maintain his confidentiality, but wants to tell us that, again, in his opinion,
but it's not always substantive. That's the problem I have.
Right. That he's saying a lot of reasons why people believe it's not substantive, and you're saying majority being initiated by women is a red pill reality.
And that's a reality. If you just look at the numbers, you go, oh. So it's not we frame the narrative as men are just leaving, and we frame the narrative as men are cheating. And one of the things you can look at, men and women cheated around the same rate, right? It's slightly higher by about 2 percentage points higher for men than what it is for women. So when you look at it overall, and I'm not talking about because I have to dig down and because the stats are there for black men and black women, but overall, when they do when they pull up these statistics and they do these polls for cheating, it's about 2 percentage points higher for men than what it is for women. So it's about the same as what men and women cheat. That's not but that's not told. That's another one of those red pill facts that when you get it, it's like, well, men cheat, they just get out there, and then you realize, well, we cheat around the same percentage points.
Okay, so you're saying it's not that true.
That's not that true. No, I say, and you'll start getting into it, and you're looking at it. You're going, a lot of it is we're fed again that storytelling.
So okay, there's deeper there, and I know you can't go all the way deep. I salute to Sir Hill, Sir Hill Speaks Network in the building. I've dropped the link. Yeah, we go in for another maybe 20 minutes or so. So last call, if anyone wants to come up and tell me about their red pill experience, why red pill is good. What are some red pill truths as we're going over now that people don't like to think? They like to think of, I really wish Sergeant Claiborne could have stayed a little longer talking about, women are not treated as adults. That didn't sit 100% with me, and I wanted him to expound. I understand what he said in terms of the differences in the penal code, the court system, in terms of the criminal justice system, but other ways. Again, these are real talk. One person said, what, street smarts reality versus, a Disney-fied, a rose-colored glasses look at how people think, how people are, and, what life is really about, how relationships really work is what we're talking about here. So, Hale, if you want to come up, the link has been dropped. Anybody want to come up? This is the last call for the panel. I'm just going to read a couple more of the chat. TTO is flaming because of who filed for divorce. Doesn't mean that women are at, quote, fault. Your opinion. Okay, I'm not going to go back and forth because I know my mediator here, Xavier Black, can attest to, what you see actually as a mediator of divorce cases and what you see. Very nice to see you is in the chat too. Let me see. Learn Biz, the podcast, says red pill only works if black men and black women are allowed to express their truths freely. Yeah, without being attacked after. I agree. Because certain things you hear, you're like, oh, okay. But I understand why he said that, and where is his origin, or what is his pattern or fact set for trying to say this is the truth. So yes, I agree with that. Even like I said, I would have loved to hear Sergeant Claiborne talk about that a little bit more and his thinking. It's a powerful and provocative statement, but I would have loved to get a little bit more deeper into it. How do you get that out of who files for divorce? Okay, I think he explained that. Miss Globe Girl says, because y'all feel so strongly about this red pill philosophy, why not put the philosophy to paper? I'm sure if a woman writes and capitalizes off this philosophy, men will say she stole their idea. So Shahrazad Ali has done that. That's what that book is, basically red pill of how men and women. So besides the slap in the face, what is it actually saying?
She gives a lot of points. She gives points on things that are told to women that help to keep them keep them single. Things that women might be doing as far as a good woman. Let me see if I can pull up, because she has quite a few lists in here.
Is the good sister still alive? Shahrazad Ali
is. She is. She's still alive.
She's still alive?
Yes.
She has a was it Ayala Van Zant on? I want to say it was Donahue or was it Ricky Lake? It was one of them. She went off and she attacked her on there, and now Ayala Van Zant is talking about our sisters are out of order. So
And it's the same thing Sherazade was preaching from day one. Wow.
is exactly
MTR interviewed her on YouTube. You should
No
check
way.
it out on his channel.
I'm gonna go look it up.
Yeah.
Did
So
y'all know there was a red pill meetup in Miami?
I did not know that.
Kanarnak and a couple other brothers was telling me, the red pill world has converged on Miami this weekend. And I was like, for real?
The CME. Shout out to Donovan Sharp.
There you go, Donovan Sharp.
Is that what it is? Okay.
He has a whole conference down here with red pill philosophied men, I guess. The real, what should I say?
It's a conference of masculine excellence, as he calls it.
There we go.
Sort of a
conference
gathering.
Masculine excellence. You say it. What's going on in Miami this weekend?
Well, it's the CME Conference of Masculine Excellence, and basically it's a gathering of people within the red pill to talk about being better men. And, he had one last year. Now he's having it again this year. I know some people there's mixed views about Donovan Sharp.
Yeah, I don't follow him. I don't really know him like that.
Some people like him. Some people hate him. It just depends on how you're looking at it. I just take what's useful and dismiss the rest. But
I have to get familiar with him. Not endorsing him, but I don't know anything about him. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But it's just, a gathering of these men to discuss the very thing that we're even discussing. And I think, when you have something like that, again, it's a platform for men to discuss their ideas. This is a very big phenomenon that's happening within the YouTube space. It's incredible.
Interesting. Sonona says, go ahead, Cyber Black.
I was going to give you a couple of just excerpts out of here. So one of them, he talks about the following hints or signs that Black women will possibly make a good wife for Black men. She gives a bullet point list of approximately 23 of them. She's attentive and a good listener. She enjoys going to parties, but is equally good time at home. She will have a strong spiritual commitment that will help her distinguish between right and wrong. She'll be partially modest in her style of dress. She likes babies and children and includes them in her life. Those are 5 out of 20 out of that list of 23. Then she has another one where she's talking about things that other Black women will tell a good wife in order to try to because there's a whole paragraph that goes before that, but this is a list that she has of approximately 12 things. It's like, you're a fool for working all day, cooking all night. He'll eat if he gets hungry. Why don't you tell him to cook dinner? He gets home before you do. You're a fool to give him all your money. You work for it. You got a right to spend it on whatever you want to. I wouldn't take it. Girl, you ain't his slave. That's another top 5. Then she has another one as example of disrespectful language Black women use when speaking to Black men are as follows. And this is another list, which is approximately 40 things. It's like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you mind your own business? You're such a mama's boy. You ain't nothing and you're never going to be nothing. You don't tell me what to do. That's another one of those top 5.
I'm saying these things, but yes, I know there are women that are saying these things. Shout out to Barry Hamilton on the Cash App for the love. I appreciate it. Go ahead, keep going. Those are just some of the things as far as lists that are in here. But aside from the list, she even goes into family secrets on things that mothers will tell their daughters. And will also make sure that their sons hear. She talks about it specifically in regards to the single parent and the dual parent households. And so she outlines these things, and there's a lot of red pill information in here that you'll get, and you're looking at it. I know first time I read it, and ironically, it was my mother who bought the book. So you go get this work. You go get this game. I'm not gonna lie to you and give you roses and butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah,
unicorns. I'm not giving you that. Did you want to add anything, Brickslayer? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Go ahead. Unmute for me, please.
All right, you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So far I'm enjoying all the stuff that the brothers are speaking on, especially my dude right here.
Xavier Black. Yes.
Hey, as much as I, and one thing I want to be clear, like one thing I love about the red pill is that there's so much knowledge that just getting the dust being blown off that I'm still getting it even up to this day. So it's like, even being at this panel, it puts me in a position of not just being a panelist, but back to being a student.
Right, exactly. I feel the same way. There's so much. Thank you, the Brick Slinger. There's so much in the chat about the stats on cheating and Is the cheating a sexual thing, or is it is it 50-50? Y'all come on up. The 2022 version. This is interesting. When did she write that book? Because I'm just like
89 or 90, right?
89.
Still applies.
This is one of the things that when I always tell people, it's like, if you just go back and you listen to what our elders talked about, I say, so sometimes we want to reinvent the wheel. And I went through the same thing when I was, as a teenager, and I always say it's teenage years when I talk to my kids, and I got it from elders when I was growing up. For whatever reason, those chemicals hit your body in puberty, and all of a sudden it's like, before then, you're attentive, you're listening, you're taking in the knowledge, you recognize that older people have knowledge that you don't have, and that because you're older, they have experience that you didn't have, and that you're seeking that out from them. You're asking the questions. A lot of times, sometimes parents get lazy, and we start to kill off kids' curiosity by when they ask why, we get tired. Don't kill your kids' curiosity. If they ask why, even if you don't have an answer, tell them and you get back to them. Look it up. Make sure you feel it. A lot of times when our elders, they put out all this information, whether it's a Francis Cress Welsing, whether it's there's a brother named Steve Coakley I got a lot of information from as far as other things, but as a Shahrazad Ali, there's a lot of elders out there that when you look at their writings, you look at a lot of stuff, we're trying to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes our elders even get whitewashed. MLK, that they said there, they always trot him out. And if you actually listen to a lot of his speeches and a lot of things that he talked about, if he was alive today, they would spit in his face.
Man, right? They would hate him. Actually, they whitewashed Jesus. Like, I think Jesus was much more radical than the soft-spoken, Jesus sandal wearing. Oh, that's not Jesus. Not the one in the Bible.
To that 7 woes, man.
They've softened him up. They've given him this makeover. Great points.
And that's why they don't want you to read it. That the preachers and pastors, this is why, again, they don't want you to read the Bible yourself. Read it. Don't just take somebody else's word on it. Read it. Get it out. When you read it, you'll look at it. You'll be like,
that ain't what it really says. I'm tired of y'all saying, "Thank you, Savior Black." Says, LOL. Wait, Miss Ali, is that the woman who said black women should allow black men to cheat in peace? Is that in the book?
There's a section where she does talk about if she has a family that black men are already cheating. That's where she talks about that as well.
Said what?
She said, hold on, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I can find it.
Okay, get the actual quote. We got Sir Hale Speaks in the building, learning about a lot of red pillness. Again, I guess I like to believe that people can still have a loyal or fidelity in their marriage. I like to believe it. Maybe that's me in the blue pill. Let me read a couple more comments, and I'm going to ask Sir Hale what he thinks about this red pill awareness and his journey in with it. Man of Prestige says, red pill is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. It's supposed to be nothing but the truth, but people's versions of the truth are all over the place. Perceptions and often no ref to results or solution. No references to results or solutions. I hear you. Let me see. Mr. Goldgirl says, that book is not philosophical. I'm talking about a study of fundamental nature of the red pill thought. Thank you. She's like, okay. That's practical. I know some of that already. Me too. I was like, if anyone's saying that to you, you need to leave. Red pill truths look at how we were educated. One size fits all. Okay. We need to also hold the educational system so we can comprehend the information. So one size fits all education makes us need to look at red pill truths. I get it. I think that's what I am reading there. Like I said, that book is not philosophical. What is the book called? Hold on one more time. Savior Black. Shahrazad. Is that her first name? Shahrazad Ali?
Shahrazad Ali, Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman.
Black Man's Guide. Let me give you a solo. Then let's get hold it up. So they can see it. The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. It is controversial.
It is kind of like it's a very controversial book.
Here on SuzetteSpeaks.
No. What I will say is go read it, and this is why I always tell everybody: go read it and then make your own decision.
All right, now.
So when I talked about Malcolm Gladwell, I say go read it and make your own decision. When if I give you the Dictator's Handbook, go read it and make your own decision. Right? How much factual information is in there. If you reading the half that's never been told. Or the color of money.
Yeah, read it with a critical eye. You don't not necessarily reading it to agree with everything in the books. You're reading it with a critical eye to understand and gain a different perspective. What you do with that perspective is up to you. Sir Hale, how are you? Are you muted?
SuzetteSpeaks, how are you? Can you hear me?
I am so happy. Y'all look at him. Okay, happy Saturday. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy Saturday. Sorry for being late. I had some work to do earlier, but I wanted to make sure I jumped on.
No, I'm happy that you're here. The brothers here have been helping me unpack this thing called red pill awareness. And I was titling this show My First Red Pill Awareness Experience. So you can just jump in. I know you just got here, but when did you become what red pill aware, what is called red pill aware? Do you want to give us your own sense of what red pill means as far as definitions, wherever you want to pick up, sir?
You know what's funny? Most people talk about red pill from the perspective of their dating life. Now, this is going to take a turn, Suzette. I'm just going to tell you now.
Okay.
But I tell men all the time that there are two general type of women that can make you have the red pill experience. It's the woman that you love. This is your girlfriend, your romantic relationship. This can also come from your mother. So if you've got an experience with the woman who raised you, who has a direct line to your heart, and you have been fed that women are a particular way, and that because women are sugar, they're spice, they're what's nice, they're honey, they're sweet, and you start to encounter life and you start to see the viciousness of selfishness and aggression and even bullying. You have that experience long enough, and the woman you love forces you, if you want to grow and really question why life is panning out this way. Those are the two women, or the type of relationships that can push a man to red pill. So it's not just the romantic relationship, it's the intimate relationship from where a man generally gauges his understanding and perception of women, which can be his mother or the female that helped raise him.
Okay.
So I want to put that point out there. Okay,
cool. And tell us about your first red pill awareness, or how you became red pill aware.
Family, if you guys are watching this, I want to apologize to you right now. So as I got older, I started to see manipulation, how it was told a man is supposed to be this way. A man provides, he protects, he leads, he gives. And then when I'm tired and I'm frustrated and I'm stressed out, I don't get nothing back in return. And you start to have enough conversations and you realize, see, the reason why red pill has exploded is because there were a lot of men who we didn't talk to one another. Like, we just had our own experiences because men didn't talk. And then when this man heard that another guy was going through it, and then we started to say, wait a second, so you're making six figures and you're going through it. I'm here making 50,000, I'm going through it. Wait, hold on. So you're white and you're going through this, and you're Hispanic. And we started to see that this is a common thing that's going on. And I dealt with that as well. When I came to YouTube, I saw the far side where men like actually hated women. I don't hate women. I still love me some women now. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You don't know me, right? But then I saw the middle where it was really about men expressing their experience, and them not only want to call out the issue, but to understand why it's an issue, and to get our sisters to hear us and to modify behavior that's creating this negative environment we live in. So mine is multifaceted.
Okay, I see. I was like, that's very broad.
Y'all attorneys, y'all see I just deflected that real quick. Y'all see I did that.
He's like, I can go into specifics, but I want to keep it broad and keep y'all understanding what the concepts are versus my own experience with it. So that's very interesting. So they're all parts of this conversation. You're saying that cross color lines, racial lines, socioeconomic and class lines, that there are men who discovered their own experiences were not unique, and that they were unfortunately meeting challenges they weren't, sounds like, prepared for, or no one warned them about, or had openly expressed, as in like, wait, I got a wife, but she acting crazy, or just oversimplify. But as an example, saying that, oh no, this is not what I thought it would be, or what I signed up for, and I'm getting a whole different outcome. Help. That sounds like kind of where the origins of a lot of it were. Now, do you read Scheherazade Ali? Do you follow who are your red pill content creators that you are more in tune with?
I mean, Scheherazade Ali. I mean, absolutely. That's godmother right over there, right? So
okay.
Okay,
I'm just trying to figure out for those of us who are new.
You know what's funny
help us
though?
out. Yeah.
What's funny, SuzetteSpeaks, is a lot of this is and we see it in YouTube now, and people give credit for it. But a lot of this stuff our uncles were saying, like a lot of our big brothers were saying a long time ago. It just wasn't spoken, in mass like it is today. But this knowledge has always been there. Now, some of our grandpapas and uncles were bitter, right? You know what I mean? They were bitter. But this really is not a new phenomenon. It's just now that we have shows and platforms dedicated to it. But this is not new stuff.
Same thing TTOO is saying here. Richard Wright, one of the great African-American writers, has written about Black women and Black men and Black people lives and reality in America since the 40s. Yes, we're going to get to what's the next steps. Understood. CCOO says, I almost never see any white men. I don't know if this is true. Maybe one white man talking about red pill. They're the biggest people in the red pill space. Yeah, this is not a true statement. I always see Black men championing KS and red pill. This is not a true statement. Can anyone give me some of the white men who are content creators that are red pill?
Well, Rollo Tomasi would be one.
Huge.
Rich Cooper, Kevin Savo. Man,
they're bigger than the Black men in the space. Or is it about the same? Tell me.
It's kind of neck and neck now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's especially with Kevin Samuels and having his impact. But the CME, if you look at Donovan Sharp, he's kind of like a link to all of that too, you know, because he tends to lean more in that direction, even though physically he represents melanated beings. And that's why
he looks mixed. I don't know. I know, no disrespect, but I just, okay.
I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, Rollo Tomasi is sort of like the god. They claim he has the godfather of the red pill,
who is a white man, right? Rollo Tomasi. It says, I thought there was a manosphere that is white and is Black. I think there's some overlap now.
Yeah,
there is. You're right. There is. Suzette, I wanted to add one layer as well. This is one of the biggest things that we don't talk about that mess men up. We would talk that get you a Christian sister who loves Jesus. Right. And we thought you get one of them and your life is going to be great. And a lot of guys got that. And you find out that you can love Jesus and you can be Christian.
Still be a hellraiser.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, help us all, God. There's so much I want to say with that. Try Jesus. Don't try me.
Hey, there's a scripture proverb that literally said, a wise woman will build your house, but a foolish woman will tear it down.
Yes. Interesting. Yeah, that
red pill.
I don't know. That's a rough one because I know a lot of Christian people who call themselves Christian, but they're operationally not. I think about how they are with their husbands or wives or with their children, and think about like, whoop, they got a terrible hand if that's, you know, the card they selected. Like, ugh. Were you gonna add anything? Go ahead, Kanardak. And then go ahead, Brickslinger.
No, I was thinking, you know, because there was a chat that came up, what's the next step? Because that's what I'm always thinking about, that solution-based activity that can be pushed forward. Like if you were going to lay out 3 steps, real simple, what would they be?
Yeah.
Question for the panel.
Oh, okay. I was like, that we gonna get there. I wanted to talk real quick about red pill rage before we do.
Ooh, yeah.
Can someone understand or help us understand? Does someone understand what makes that different? Because I think we're speaking about it in a very kind of like elevated way here. And then there's this whole nother concept of red pill called red pill rage that, or I just say RP rage, I guess I don't want to get it struck, but that takes it to a probably unhealthy level. Can anyone address what that is or what that looks like?
When it's emotion driven, that's when it becomes red pill rage.
So when it's emotion driven, but what are the outcomes that distinguish it from being like, okay, I'm just living in reality now? What would you say is characteristics that make it even unhealthy? Emotion driven, and what else?
When it goes to the extreme, right? That's what red pill rage is. It's kind of like when, as a growing up, once you first realize about racism in society, initially you might have been growing up and you didn't realize about racism and you're okay with white folks. And then all of a sudden it's like racism comes, you recognize what racism is. And all of a sudden you go to the opposite extreme and it's no longer just about Black love. It's also white hate, right? So that it takes it to the extreme of not just I love myself as a Black person, but now I hate white people on top of it.
Right. So not only I have problems and I realize women aren't roses and daisies and cookies and whatever, but now I hate them.
Yeah, because when you lie comes in and you like the scales fall off and you recognize that you've been lied to. Yes. Now all of a sudden it's like
exactly it. Yep.
Yeah. You swing to the pendulum swings the extreme to the opposite direction. So before it's women are sugar and spice and everything nice, and now all of a sudden it's like you've been operating under that. Yeah, as you've been operating under that premise so long, and all of a sudden now you realize that's not the case. They're people, and that they do what people do. But now that you've been lied to so long, then now you're angry, and now the point of your ire is not the fact that the people who lied to you, it's just all women. All women are now evil. And so now and so now, instead of being able to objectively look at it, now you've gone to the opposite extreme. And so that's where it becomes a problem when you get that red pill rage, is that you've been lied to so long. Now all of a sudden it's like you're there, and it's like, and sometimes you just need to let it course correct back. But if you can help it back, okay, I get it. You're angry. You realize you've been lied to. Let's just reel that back, brother. Let's deal in what truths are, what the facts are, as opposed to being all women are evil, all women are horrible. I hate women, blah 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 blah. Like, because I'm like, Sir Hell Speaks. I love my sisters. I love some women. I love my sisters. Right. So I say,
anybody else want to comment on what that rage part looks like?
Yeah, I want to add just one little part to it really quickly.
Yeah.
So, Savior Black, I'm upset you stole my thunder. I really am upset. I couldn't say it as eloquently as you, so it's all right. But there's another part to this. So it's being lied to. It's all of that. It's the other part. It's the not being heard. It's once we tell you that this is our experience, we have a society and a group of people who shame us for our experience and in a sense re-narrate what we've had to live. So the anger metastasizes into rage when a man has experienced this and he is unheard, he is disrespected and told, well, you just need to simply man up. All you're doing is whining and complaining about it. That anger and that frustration, it metastasizes into something far worse because he can't even communicate the issues he's really experiencing. So that's the other part of that I want to say.
Feeling unheard. That's deep. That's very deep. Anybody else want to comment on the rage side?
See, and I can't relate to that at all because I didn't experience that rage, but I understand where the gentlemen are coming from in terms of how it happens, which adds more strength to this community or the YouTube space or whatever have you, because it sort of acts as a guide for people who are stuck in that. Because if some people stay stuck there. So
yeah, where it's much more like I was lied to about the most basic things about how life works, how people work, how relationships work. How the economy works. And now, you know, I suffer from a deep sense of loss and anger, and I wasn't heard, or no one is hearing me, or no one is acknowledging that this actually, you know, exists within me. So I'm going to take it out on other people. It can get very dark, y'all. I just wanted to acknowledge that because when you're hearing this red pill conversation, I just want you to be aware of kind of like the entire spectrum of where it can go, and it can go into some very dark places. So now go ahead.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
You don't maybe you do.
Tell me.
You just did is what most men, that's all we ask for. What you just did is we told you what the issue was, what's going on. Not once did you try to change our minds, change our perspective. You simply said, you get it. I understand. A lot of this rage can be fixed if we get more women who are just willing, because you know, maybe we are wrong, but but having our ladies say, you know what, I get you, it might make us rethink what we think and come to a different conclusion. But we can't do that if we're talking to what seems like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to say thank you for what you just did. That's what we're asking for.
Absolutely. Who wants to add? Go ahead, Savior Black.
I was going to say sometimes in the mediation, and this is something that I had to, because I thought I was being biased. I'll be honest with you. So I started taking notes on this, so just so I could look at it from my own edification as I'm doing them. Was a lot of times you'll get into a mediation, and on the men's side, I can point out something where he's on some BS, right? It's like he might ask for something, and he's sitting there with his attorney, and you can sit there with him and his attorney, and be like, let's say he's asking for, he wants time on the weekends with an infant who's under 3, and he wants to have overnight stays. And it's like, I understand what you're asking for. You want that time with your child and everything, but you're not even going to get that in court. You need to wait till at least they're 3, and then you can start pushing that once you get into court. And he's like, no. And sometimes you might get, well, my girl told me his new girl sit there, stuck a battery in his back, and he's sitting up there all charged up thinking that that's the way it goes. And I'm looking at his attorney like, can you talk to him? And he'll talk to him. Or sometimes he'll be like, hey, look, let me get a few minutes with my client. I'll be right. I say, come on back to us. And I'll go to the other room and I'll talk to the other client or the other party. And you're in there talking to them. A guy is normally a lot easier to get back and be like, yeah, I was on some BS. And I realized. Yeah. Whereas on the opposite side, a woman, she's 10 toes down on it. And it's even if you can point out, hey, look, that has you recognize that what you're asking for might not be in the best interest of the child. If we're looking at the best interest issue,
Right.
you can look at this case and this case and this case on how the court has ruled in these situations previously,
Yeah.
and no, and it'll so then it's like I'll leave so that she can sit there and talk with her attorney. Her attorney sit there, recognize what it is I'm telling her from a legal standpoint, and I'll come back and there's still 10 toes down on it, and then I have to leave again. I'll come back 10 toes down on it, and it takes several sessions of that with a woman where she's, I'd say, emotionally she's vested, and it's like getting her out of something that she's deeply entrenched in is more difficult than it is when you have a male.
Your experiences, yeah.
Again, and I thank you for, because I was getting ready to go to that caveat. That's been my experience with it. I'm not saying that that's every single time.
And I would like to say that I am not certified in mediation. I've taken 40-hour courses and et cetera, et cetera. Just need to do my paperwork and my observations.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a difference between how, especially if the women are Black, to how they would maybe respond to a Black man as their mediator. I think there's implicit bias. I might have a different reaction if it, say, was me.
Yeah.
And I'm their mediator and I'm a woman and I'm caucusing with them. There's a lot of bias in between that. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that's valid.
I can't say that for sure because I've always been the Black guy that's
that's what I'm saying. Like our experiences are going to be totally different. If clients happen to be white and I'm mediating, I'm sure I'm going to get, depending on who, difference in reaction, implicit bias, implicit, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to read a couple of comments, get the guys of the solutions in terms of, and I just wanted to read this because I thought this was very good. Barry Wagwan, again, thank you for the love on the Cash App, says there are many women red pill. We don't really talk about them. Commentators in the general manosphere. The men have their issues with their females. So interesting. I would say people like Chantel Simone, huge red pill. Maybe even I would call Crimson Cure. I was watching her yesterday. Red pill for you. See the chat. Who else would you say are female content creators within the space?
Riva TV.
Riva TV. Riva TV, Jamaican sister. Oh, she'll give it to you straight, no chaser. I've seen Riva. Shout out to these ladies. Who else? Anybody else that you want to mention? Because there are women. I just want to point that out. Who else?
Danica, Dope Conversations.
Yes. Danica, give it to you straight. Dope.
You got Six the Goddess.
Dope discussions.
Yeah, you got a few, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When she be like, these men, they're not letting y'all use them. Stop it. Like, okay. Danica.
Somebody else I love is Love Dorsey. She's really good. Yeah, Love Dorsey.
Oh, Love Dorsey.
Oh, Love Dorsey. I don't know her.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I love her. She's straight, no chaser.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch her because it's a very interesting. I think that's a growth part. Even Melanie King, is she red pill?
Yes.
I think I would say so. I would say
think
so.
About that, I don't know. I think there are a lot of women.
Dee.
Yeah, Dee for sure. Dee's another red pill content creator.
Just Pearly Things.
Who is
if
it?
You talk Just Pearly Things.
Just Pearly Things. Okay.
Yeah, she's a white woman.
A white woman?
Yes, and she's red pill all day.
Oh, wow. So I have more people I need to learn about, clearly, guys. But yeah, just to say that it's not just a man's domain. Like there are women who are giving these very critical, provocative, yet they believe very necessary truths to both women and men. So we've been talking about men to men, but women are giving women some red pill for sure. Go ahead, Savior Black.
I know. I was agreeing with you, Hezzy, because that was even with Kevin Samuels. So people they don't acknowledge the first 3 years of his work that
he was giving it to men
straight. You can't be both fat and short. You can't, all these different things that he was talking about. That people you ignore the fact because the red pill we just associate it with just women, but it's just here's what the facts are, and this is what you're dealing with. These are truths. This
is true for me, Danny. Many red pill awareness happened to me during the pandemic. 100%. I can agree with that. Let me see. Ace Butterfly says there's a lot of broken people online. They're seeking relief. I didn't realize how much therapy Black men, Black women need until I've come into this space. A lot of people in general. We happen to be talking to a community that is predominantly Black and brown, but a lot of people in general, I think during especially the pandemic, that isolation, all of that, as he said, there are some red pills that hit you. Your job would put you out in front of the front lines of a pandemic and not think two other seconds about it. I think there was a heck of a lot of red pill reality that was given us. Absolutely. Let me see if there's any more comments. Where do we go from here? Is this a teachable mindset? Do you suggest that people watch certain people? Is it what would be the best outcomes, I guess, if we were trying to tell people what to do with the information they got today?
Stay open. Stay open. Don't be so rigid in your receiving of the information. You have the ultimate, I guess you could say, inside scoop on what the men are discussing, if you're a woman, that is. As a man, you're taking it and using pieces as a guide and just add onto what you're already doing to, I guess, expand on the achievements in your life. But for women, it's like you have the advantage because you're hearing the men talk about the things that they're looking for, the things that you're hearing us.
Okay. I hear that. And I guess that's the answer, Miss Globe Girl. On behalf of men, can someone tell us what a man would like to see from women when he speaks his truth? Listen, I think Sir Hill also spoke to that. Validate, not criticize, not jump down one's throat. I was watching Black Man Unfiltered last night. One dude, his whole conversation was, what do black men want for black women? Ace, you were over there. Ace was in the chat. Who else? Miss Globe Girl was in the chat last night late. It was like 12 o'clock. I'm like, I need to go to bed. And then one dude, I forget what panel member was like, don't talk when I'm talking. Don't talk when we were all like, geez, okay, tell us what you really want. But it was very simple: love, respect, and I don't think it was cliche for a lot of folks. But it was very interesting. Go back and watch Black Man Unfiltered. He was on earlier, but that show was really interesting. And I didn't even get to watch the whole thing. What do men want? Black men want from black women. It was very interesting to watch, y'all. And that will help with that question too, Miss Globe Girl. Yes, this is a TTOO first, Miss Globe Girl. You're supposed to tell your truth to a woman you trust.
What is your truth? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get I'm like you, Sir Hill. I get upset when I hear that your truth, because there's your truth, there's their truth, and then somewhere in the middle, you're going to get what the actual facts are, what the actual truth is. And it's the ability, kind of going back to a Kennard he talked about, in listening to other people and learn. We as a community, this is one of the things, in order for it to start, for us to actually start working on the issues that we have to learn how there's two things primarily. One is communication with one another, and two is conflict resolution, right? So you're sitting there with
healthy communication, healthy conflict. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Correct. So understanding that you're going to go into a discussion with somebody, and you're more than likely you're going to have some disagreements.
Into a relationship with somebody, and you're going to have disagreements. Yes.
Even in your relationship with your family, if you have a good healthy relationship with your mom and your dad and your brothers and whatever, your sisters, and you sit there, you guys talk, you guys are going to fall out, but you still love them. And even if they piss you off right now, it's like, look, I can't deal with that right now. I'll deal with it later, right? And you might walk off, but you know that you're going to come back and you're going to sit there and you're going to deal with that with love. And depending on how you learned how to do that conflict resolution, and this is why I probably should have put that number one, but depending on how you resolve those conflicts, that you're in that relationship with that individual, you're talking to that individual, they're going to say something that's just going to piss you off. That's reality. But not sit there being so grounded or so rooted into it that you can't yield or you can't hear them and what it is they're expressing. When you do X, it makes me feel like Y. Also how you present it, but that's the conflict resolution. Learning how to communicate with one another
and not take it personal. Oh my.
Sometimes it's not.
It could have been, having a bad day, having a bad moment, stressed about some bad work, hungry, tired, annoyed with something completely different. There's so many things that I think we get caught up on, and help me, oh God. I'm not perfect, because sometimes I do get personally offended. I'm like, what you trying to say? What y'all say? What you said? I didn't like the tone. I didn't like the tone with how you said that just now. But it can, you have to be able to de-escalate and forgive, and absolutely just forget and move on. Danny G, go ahead, Sir Hill.
Yeah, so in the middle of communication and conflict resolution, we got to get an understanding. Like, I cannot tell you how many arguments happened because people did not understand. They heard their feelings and didn't hear what the person said. We have to stop hearing what we feel and start hearing and understanding that truth. And then here's the other part. When the person who you're speaking to corrects it, makes a correction, and lets you, they clarify what they're saying,
Allow
go with
for
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that's the new time. The other part to this is the court systems. Red pill really originated not just from relational issues. This is the court system. Men having children, them being, grossly, underrepresented and losing in the court and child and family law. So
Right.
red pill, it's got to start from not only on the relational level, but in the court system as well. So we've got a long way to go. But I think if we're going to start somewhere now, we've got to start in our most intimate relationships, because that's going to serve as the momentum and catalyst for the change that we see in the court system.
Absolutely.
Let me just piggyback off of that, Terrell, because one of the things I would love to have happen, and it's going to sound really, I would love to be out of a job as a mediator, because most of my job is there because people don't know how to communicate and have conflict resolution. And I've had several cases like this, so I can speak to this without giving, because it's a general situation that I run across a lot. A lot of times you'll have a situation where you'll have a couple comes in, and as a mediator, you'll put them in different rooms because you've already established, you start off, you have the opening statements, everybody gets to get off their chest, whatever they're going to get off their chest in their opening statements. And then you put them in different rooms, and you're trying to bridge that gap in communicating with them. And sometimes it might be as simple as they just didn't think about what it was that they were going to do. And I can give you an example, because I've had this several times, where it might be one parent did something, i.e. did something with the child, and they now have majority custody with the child, and they're still paying child support. And instead of just talking to the other parent and saying, hey, you got this child support still on my neck, and the child stays with me in this other state right now, can you just sit there and take it off my neck? And instead of doing that, what'll happen a lot of times is that they'll sit there, they'll just file the paperwork. And then it comes back to the other parent, and now the other parent will do something brash with the child, like maybe go out there to the state, pull the child out of the school where they're at, because now and the child's now caught in the middle of it because they didn't communicate it. They didn't just sit back and think, dude, why didn't you just call me and tell me that this is what you were looking for, as opposed to sitting there filing this paperwork, right? Instead of doing that, they go off and they do something brash, and now it escalates. And now the attorneys get involved, then I'm involved, and then you're listening to them, and you're going and a lot of times I'll go back up, they'll give you'll get both sides. You're listening, and I can go back, and it might be something as simple as going in there like, what, I've heard what you're talking about. I heard you said, the one thing I didn't hear that you stated about the other parent, what's that? That she's not a good mother. And they'll be like, no, because she is. And you go back to the other room and be like, S.A., yeah, and I want the one thing I didn't hear you say is that he's not a good father. Well, that's because he is. Okay, so this is what I already told them, that I'm thinking this could be a resolution for us at this point. Well, that could be, but could you also add this? Well, let me go talk to him and go. And if they could have talked to each other as opposed to in the same way that I just talked to him, I would have been out of a job. The attorneys would have been out of a job. Nobody said what they did. And only thing it would have took is that when the first person did something that was just kind of off, just pull their coattails a little bit, like, hey, you didn't have to do it that way. Or, what, I didn't think about that. I was thinking that you were, instead of having that discussion between the two of them, now you got two attorneys involved and a mediator involved. And now you're paying thousands of dollars for something that was just a communication issue and a conflict resolution issue. That being the adult room,
great example, but most people, I think, in this country don't have good communication skills and problem solving and conflict resolution skills. That should be like a class, a course, something or throughout. I mean, we got it to a certain extent in like elementary and stuff, but it's not. They don't unless you were like a peer counselor, or I think especially if you had like classes and different things like that, it don't go deep. People were fighting over foolishness, and then they get married and they think they're all of a sudden going to develop these muscles, develop these skills. That's crazy. So I agree with you. I think a lot of us need just help in understanding in terms of education, might be a better way of saying it. Education in terms of how to understand another person's point of view and not have it like deeply offend you and be able to respond from an intellectual and logical perspective and not an emotional one, and allow that person to, vent without also being, cataclysmically upset and ready to, fire guns to be right. It's really crazy. But great example there, sir. I'm going to read some more of the chat and get everyone's final thoughts. This is with the red pill awareness. I think that some people are getting and maybe have a problem with, which is Danny G saying, the red pill awareness changed my life for good. Now I see that I am the prize as a man. I don't hate, but I adjust to any situation, removing my energy out of any toxic relationship or community. I'm gonna let y'all respond to the I am the prize, I guess, real red pill awareness. Isolation is a kiss of death in our society. Failed to understand a different perspective. Actually, I think it exacerbated it with the pandemic. Paul Winston says, with the Malcolm X emoji, says, men who still don't understand that relationships are a partnership move on as the world is changing. Danny G came back. I subtract myself from anything that does not add value to my life. That includes women as well. Take notes, take notes. Suzette do the tutorial on the lip. I might have to do You're so funny on the lip combination. Miss Globe Girl, red pill is opposite of my truth standard. First step is please don't ever mention your truth. So my truth is not necessarily fact. This is the problem. When we are married to what we've been taught our whole lives as truth, that hurts when someone is dismantling it in front of your eyes, or your life experience is dismantling it for you. Ay, ay, ay. TTO said, Danny G, I can't relate. Red pill changed your life to realize that you're the prize. At 16 players and male elders start putting me on K. What? Paul says, I'm glad I'm an atheist. Danny said, whew, I gave my black woman a divorce letter after I learned about the red pill ideology. See, this is where I'm like, okay.
Did she do anything for that?
Danny, grab the mic, Danny. Come up and talk if you want to. We also have to acknowledge that bad experience in intersex relationships is what led most men into this space, and stop the cap with the desire for community building. So you're saying, man, and prestige, we have to acknowledge that the bad experiences between men and women in terms of their relationship is what led most men to this space. Stop the cap for community building. Okay, his opinion. All right, we need to think, thank you, Linda. We need to rethink the way we think and accommodate those who process differently. Okay. All right. Your male elders taught you how to handle your business. Okay, TTO. I saved my life, 3 years of marriage, only 0 children. So 0 child support or alimony, toxic abusement payment. God loves me. I'm so happy now. Well, and I know about your situation, Danny G. Sounds deeper than maybe just a red pill philosophy, but I hear you. Okay. I wonder, Ace asks, I wonder how many would make videos of red pill if there was no money monetization involved. That men are hearing what they like or what they agree with. Interesting. Love Dorsey. Okay, I'm a little bit behind. All right, so I'm gonna keep. They tell my Melanie is a cloud chaser. Your opinion. Love Dorsey is masculine to K. Is masculine to K as a energy philosophy. Is masculine to K as philosophy. That's a fact. I don't know what that means. The female red pill has a largely male audience. This is true, and not female. I agree with that. Crimson does not hold back 100%. Crimson is number 1. I was watching that yesterday. I was like, okay, get into it, sis. I agree with, okay, I left the state open. I'm sorry, I'm behind. But yes, gentlemen, help me to figure out where we can put somewhat of a bow on this. Truth equals experience. All right. So what do we take away from the red pill? What stay open was one of them.
Be willing to have these conversations, like you said, like was said earlier, like have these conversations without feelings involved. That there's always going to be I feel like, or this in my feelings, stuff like that. It's like feelings is okay. We're not saying feeling is not okay. Otherwise, we would have been had some crazy stuff being said and this, that, and the third, and there be no consequences or accountability. Feelings is okay, but the thing of it is about red pill is that what is above feeling is facts. What's above emotion is logic.
Right.
if anything, like I said, the conversation need to be yes, it needs to be open, but at the same time, it needs to be not emotional driven.
Yeah, understood. Thank you for coming up, Brick Slayer. We're rounding up the panel now. Thank you for adding your contributions today. Appreciate you. Good to see you again, and I'll see you soon. You take care. Always welcome. Have a good one. Awesome sauce. I'm enjoying the comments. I'm enjoying the panel. I'm enjoying your feedback, guys. And again, this discussion hopefully enlightens some people because I did not know much about Red Pill before becoming a YouTuber. So yes, having the conversation without far deep emotional reactions and I guess holding each other accountable might actually be another place that we can put a bow on this. I don't know. Let's see what the gentlemen have to say.
Yeah, I mean, these men here are using their platforms to give the knowledge. And that's one thing you can do as a creator, as a receiver. You just take what's useful and dismiss the rest. And you can test these things out. You would think that people would hear the discussions and then try to test the stuff out to see if it works.
Right.
And then you would have some results to show, especially with choosing signals from the women's side of things, putting out better choosing signals. You kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive with that because a lot of men are nervous to even approach women at all. But Red Pill essentially is a lot more than just, those things.
Yeah, and I'm the prize. Danny say, the reason I see myself as a prize as a man is because I'm a traditional man. I take care of everything or most of the things. So if a woman cannot be submissive, that's another thing that Red Pill teaches. Is it that a woman has to be submissive?
I'm be honest with you. I push back on the "I am the prize as a man" thing, and
you Red Pill, but that's not you.
Well, no, I say what I prefer. The language I guess I prefer in that situation is I bring value to the relationship. So regardless of whether how that relationship turns out, whatever she brings to the relationship, I bring value. As a man, it's a value that I bring to the relationship. Not saying that I am in a relationship. I'm not saying 50-50. I'm not saying 40-60. I'm not saying what that ratio is on what's being bought, but I bring value to the relationship as a man. I don't by me being in that relationship, because a lot of times people say I'm the prize, because when I hear that language, it tells me that before you didn't think that as a man you brought any value to the relationship. You were taught and you believed what normally goes about that you're just nothing in a relationship. The woman brings all the value. She's the prize. That's all that's in the relationship. If it's a relationship, you have two people. Two people means that there's going to be that relationship. Do you bring value? As a man, I know I bring value to that relationship. Whatever my value is, whether that's appreciated or not, I bring value. She don't appreciate it, I keep it moving. Kick rocks, we move it down the street. If I say same, and it's vice versa, does she bring value on what it is I'm looking for? If it's submissiveness, is it fit? Like when you asked the other day, fit, feminine, and friendly, whatever it is that you're looking for in that relationship. Are those the values that she brings? It's kind of like I used to tell my kids this. It's a silly analogy, but if you have someone tells you, hey, my soil, you're a farmer, you're in agriculture, doesn't have a lot of nitrogen, doesn't have a lot of phosphorus in it, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my soil, and somebody comes by and they bring you a load of manure, a load of crap, you look at that as that's valuable. What they're bringing you has value to you. It doesn't have value to everybody. You give somebody else a load of crap, they'll look at it as a load of crap. But to you as a farmer, as somebody who's nurturing that field, that has value to it. It's going to add the nitrogen. It's going to add the phosphorus. It's going to help help the produce in your field to grow. Now, it might not be valuable to somebody else, but it's valuable to you. And that person bought you value in something that you would appreciate. And a lot of people that will pay money, resources for manure, for crap. Most of us be like, that's not a gift. That's not something I'm not paying for it by the truckload, but there's places around here that by the truckload, they have manure. And I say, why would I use that analogy? Because in a relationship, whatever it is you're bringing, you bring value. Somebody else might look at it as crap, but you bring value to that relationship, and don't let them tell you otherwise that what it is that you bring. You don't have to say I'm the prize, but in the field, you probably would be the prize. But it is value that you're bringing and that you're adding to that relationship. And don't let them tell you or just degrade you or tell you, talk down to you that what you bring is crap. It's nothing. It might be crap, but it's something and it's valuable, and somebody will appreciate it. And if you don't appreciate it, kick rocks. We'll keep it moving down the block.
Can I give him a hand clap?
An analogy. Interesting. Go ahead. Yeah. Savior Black did a lot of good work understanding what it means to be red pill and some of the red pill realities. from even the talk with the young people about, sexual expression and how things, birds and bees work and things like this, to, understanding your own value as a person, human being, first and foremost, and then as a man, as you come to the table of this dating market and such. So a lot of, I think, real life lessons that are powerful and helpful for people to get from Red Pill. I'm going to say you guys have to take, as he said, might be manure to some people, might be soil rich in nitrogen to other people, but it's an interesting way of being able to kind of like, gather more information than what we have been initially offered about why life is happening the way it is. And I love that it has challenged me as well. Savior Black, thank you for coming. Oh, always a pleasure. Bringing stats and whatnot today.
Well, next time I'll make sure I bring them up and I'll put them up on screen for you guys.
Yeah, check out his channel. Drop your channel in the chat. The Mediator, fantastically, unapologetically Black on his platform, and some of the issues he talks about so deep and so wonderfully handled, well researched, and I really, really, really enjoy it. SuzetteSpeaks wants your email, so go ahead in the back chat, put your email, both of you, so that you guys can communicate. That's what we're about. They're talking about is ain't no money thing. We actually trying to educate people here, but YouTube can be a wonderful source of, I guess, new perspective, and just getting out of your own little box and figuring out what it is that other people think and why. So whether, again, you become more aware through Red Pill or not, it's cool. But it's great to actually kind of be in a place of new awareness so that you can use what it is that you need and then leave what you don't. But Savior Black, thank you so much. Thank you for coming up. Appreciate it. Applause, please. Sir Hale, applause, please. Thank you. No, you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. I need applause. Hey. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourself.
No worries. You got the private chat as well. You guys have a good one. Be blessed.
Yes, the emails are in the back. Thank you. Appreciate you. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye. And then, Kinetic, I'm going to give Sir Hale Speaks the last word today. Final thoughts. I know you said some already.
Yeah, just stay open. I'm not an expert when it comes to this whole red pill conversation. I'm kind of just an observer, and you kind of have to stay open and trust your gifts. I think of the screening process in terms of relationships. I think of trusting the process in terms of your successes and being consistent, which I definitely need to work on that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep moving forward, and take advantage of these platforms. Suzette, Sir Hale Speaks and all. There's a lot that you can take from it and test it out.
The time is now. Let's go. I appreciate it, Kenarda. Can we get a round of applause, Sir Hale? Thank you. Always great insight when you come on up. And I appreciate you spending time with us always. I really, really do. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for coming up today with that smooth voice. So, Sir Hale, I know you came up for the tail end. And, we've been talking a lot about our first red pill awareness experiences and why it has been helpful for many men, and that there are women involved in these conversations, I think is important too. Because if men are eating from this fruit, guys, I don't understand why we wouldn't pay attention to, okay, what is it that they're being fed and how is it impacting them, etc. So final thoughts when it comes to the red pill side of YouTube and beyond, and what it may or may not offer for folks.
Yeah, so what I will say is I want to give you your credit. I always like to do this because I think people need to hear and see it. What you've done is facilitated a conversation, allowed a group of men to share their thoughts. You didn't say, well, that's your experience. Well, you heard, you need to go get you some therapy. What you did is you listened, and then you offered, you repeated it back in a way to make sure you understood what we were saying. That's what I think the community needs. Because to be honest, red pill can't last forever. If we want to be progressive, it can't last forever, not at this trajectory. So what I would say going forward is we got to become better listeners to each other, and we got to get back to the business of valuing each other. Men have to value women, intrinsically value her.
Yes.
And our women need to value men and what we bring just naturally. And as we do that and we listen to each other and we grow and give each other some grace to grow, because we are going to need some of that, I think this is how we start solving this. But honestly, think that what you're doing now is women like you. It ain't just women. It's women who listen, who come into the space wanting to understand. Of course, some things might trigger you, right? But you don't allow your triggers and your emotions to obscure what's actually being said. We need more women like that. And perhaps there are women who, are easily triggered and they can't. You demonstrate how to do it. So we need women like you, not only to be you, but to demonstrate how to listen, because I think a lot of women do want to get it. So
appreciate that. That's a high compliment coming from you, sir. Thank you for making the time. SuzetteSpeaks Network. Y'all check him out. Fantastic YouTuber, early in the morning, giving us knowledge, giving us wonderful feedback and insights from so many perspectives. And I thank you for spending some time helping us to unravel what this red pill space is all about today. Thank you. Always welcome up.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you again for your kind words and encouragement as always. Talk to you soon. You take care. Awesome, guys. Wow. I really enjoyed that. I really did. Lots more to learn. Not saying this was like what they would call a treatise, like an all-inclusive, educational, intellectual writing about everything red pill, because there are so many more who have been involved in the conversation, content creators who do it way more than I, like what I've been told that mine is somewhat red pill in a sense, reality check inducing. But I think it's something, again, I am curious about and I've enjoyed trying to understand. So I appreciate all the gentlemen for coming up. Shout out to Kanardak. Shout out to Guns, Truth Slinger. Oh my God, I get his name wrong. Thank you to SuzetteSpeaks. Thank you to DL Saint. And thank you to Savior Black. All those who wanted to be here. I know sometimes when you're working or driving or doing other things, family day, sometimes on a Saturday, it's difficult to come up. So don't forget, Tuesday, me and TL are going to be doing some heavy lifting, talking about the truth about hypergamy. And don't forget, next Thursday, I have the one and only JT, the Pocket Watcher, comes to the SuzetteSpeaks show for the first time. He's confirmed Thursday, 7 p.m., talking about, he just picked the topic, how can Black people be prepared for the recession ahead? His words. I said, you think it's coming, bro? He's like, I know it's coming. So I can't wait to collab with those two gentlemen for sure. Tuesday, Thursday. I do not think I'll be live on Monday. If I am, it'll be on Patreon. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for stopping in today. Thank you for hopefully participating in some way, liking, commenting, and sharing the content. If you want to, please look over at my Patreon. It is just a little bit more intimate, smaller group, only about 20 or so folks now, which I really enjoy talking to on a more intimate level on personal development, and it helps support my content. So if you're interested and you want to support, please go on over to patreon.com/SuzetteSpeaks and check me out. And of course, thank you to those who donated today through Cash App and through Super Chat. I really, really, really am grateful for all of your support. Hope you enjoyed. And if you did, before you go, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Let me say goodbye to my people. Mad respect to the entire chat. You guys are on fire literally today. And I thank you guys for participating and being so, yes, SuzetteSpeaks. Check out his channel. Thank you, Sunbreeze, doing a great job today as moderator. Yes, we're networking for sure, Ace. We're trying to keep people who are, have something to say connected. And I'm grateful for opportunities to do that even here inadvertently. Yes, thank you. You said, Daddy G, I saw Suzette debating the lead attorney on Facebook. And then I became a fan. It was a friendly debate. And wow, you're amazing, brilliant, honest. Salute to you. Thank you for sharing your story and your experience even in the chat today. Appreciate everybody. Yes, Tuesday. Be ready. Be ready. The truth about hypergamy, another concept I think I knew about informally, but never really gave much thought to. And DL has studied it. So we getting there. We're growing. Different folks. Like I said, JT, the Pocket Watcher, comes next Thursday. Y'all be here, please, to support. And I appreciate y'all spending this time with me today. Until next time, thank you. Appreciate. Have a great weekend, Sunbreeze. Great show. Thank you, LaMarcus. Appreciate everybody watching. You're awesome too. Appreciate your support. Have a great one. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye now.